Hello, everyone. Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in My Hero Academia with a Mangekyo Sharingan, Part 2. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it.
UA High School, Class 1A, 12:35 p.m. The lunch bell rang. Immediately, the classroom erupted into motion. Students stretched, grabbed lunch boxes, and complained about morning classes. Midoriya stood up, adjusting his bag. "Ida, Uraraka, are you coming to lunch?" Ida was already halfway to the door, arms chopping mechanically. Of course. Proper nutrition is essential for afternoon performance. Uraraka started to stand, then paused. Mina and Momo were huddled around Toru's desk, whispering. Toru's sleeves were gripping the edge of her desk. Uraraka blinked. I'll catch up with you guys. We have a situation." Midoriya followed her gaze. "Is Hagakure okay?" "I think so. Maybe?" She walked over. By the time she got there, Mina was mid-negotiation. "Toru. Come on. It's just lunch." "I know. So let's go." "Do we have to?" Momo sighed. "Yes. You need to eat. I brought a granola bar." "That's not a meal. It's food." Mina crouched beside the desk. "Okay, what's going on?" "You were fine this morning." Toru's sleeves fidgeted. "I was not fine this morning. You came to class under duress." Uraraka tilted her head. "You're still thinking about that book thing?" Toru's sleeves stiffened. "Maybe." "Toru, look, I know it sounds ridiculous, but getting hit twice in 2 days by the same person feels like the universe is laughing at me." Azui, sitting nearby, raised a hand. "To be fair, he probably didn't see you either time." Rib bit. "That doesn't make it better." Mina stood up, hands on her hips. "Okay. Real talk. Do you actually think he did it on purpose?" "No." "Then what's the problem?" Toru's sleeves gestured vaguely. "I just don't want round 3, okay?" Momo pinched the bridge of her nose. "Toru, you're being irrational." "Maybe. But it's my irrationality." Mina exchanged a glance with Momo. Then she grinned. "Fine. New plan. You come with us to return the book. If he's a jerk, you can yell at him. If he's not, you get closure." Toru's sleeves went rigid. "What? No. Absolutely not." "Come on," Uraraka added. "It'll be quick. Just hand it over and leave. You don't need me for that." "But we want you there," Momo said. "Moral support." Toru groaned. "Fine. But if he's the same guy, I'm giving him a piece of my mind." She raised her invisible fists, shaking them with exaggerated menace. "I'll pound him." Mina snorted. "Sure you will. I'm serious." The group headed toward the door. Toru trailed behind, muttering to herself. "This is a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible." Cafeteria, 12:47 p.m., the cafeteria was packed. Students from all courses crammed into tables, voices overlapping into a dull roar. Mina scanned the room, textbook tucked under her arm. "Okay. So, where does general studies sit?" Momo pointed toward the far left section. "Over there. Gray badges." "Got it." They wove through the tables, dodging trays and backpacks. Mina's eyes scanned faces. "Red hair. Red hair. Where's the red hair?" "There." Uraraka pointed. "A table in the corner. 3 students. No red hair." Mina frowned. That's not him. Maybe he's not here? Azui suggested. Momo squinted. Wait. I recognize them. From where? The tray incident. Mina's eyes lit up. Oh. You're right. She walked over. The three students looked up as she approached. A girl with flowers growing from her hair, Hana. A boy with color-shifting skin, Kimura. Another boy with glasses, Tanaka. Mina smiled. Hey. Sorry to bother you guys. Hana blinked. Oh. You're from the hero course, right? Yep. Mina Ashido. She gestured to the others. This is Yaoyorozu, Uraraka, Azui, and Hagakure. Polite nods all around. Kimura leaned back. If this is about the tray thing, that wasn't our fault. Oh, no, we know. Actually, we're looking for someone. Tanaka adjusted his glasses. Who? Mina held up the textbook. Does this belong to someone named Yuta Akutami? All three of them froze. Then Hana grinned. Oh man. What did he do now? Mina blinked. So it's him, huh? Nothing? We just need to return his book. His book, Kimura repeated. Yeah. That he lost. Yeah. Tanaka muttered, of course he did. Momo stepped forward. Is he here? Hana's grin faded slightly. Actually, no. He didn't show up today. Didn't show up? Uraraka asked. Kimura shrugged. Nope. Wasn't in homeroom. Wasn't in first period. Haven't seen him all day. Tanaka nodded. Which is weird. He's usually here. Toru's sleeves crossed. Maybe he's sick. Maybe, Hana said, though she sounded uncertain. But he didn't message the group chat or anything. Mina frowned. Huh. Momo cleared her throat. Well. When he gets back, could you give this to him? She handed the textbook to Hana. Hana took it, flipping it open. Yeah, no problem. Thanks. The four girls, and one invisible girl, walked away. Once they were out of earshot, Uraraka whispered, that was weird, right? Momo nodded. A little. Azui tilted her head. Maybe he really is sick. Rib bit. Toru's sleeves relaxed slightly. Well, at least I didn't have to yell at him. Mina grinned. There's always tomorrow. Back at the table, Hana set the textbook down. Kimura stared at it. So. Where do you think he is? Tanaka pushed his glasses up. Probably sleeping in and forgot to wake up. Does he seem like that kind of guy? Hana didn't respond. She just stared at the book, fingers drumming against the cover. Yeah. Probably. The human body had, what was it, 30 trillion cells. 50? He couldn't remember right. But during the last moments of consciousness, Yuta was damn well sure that something was fundamentally wrong with him. He felt it in the last seconds, like threads tightening, shifting, misfiring, doing things cells had no right to do. But even that sensation faded. And then he fell. Into infinite darkness. There was no floor. No sky. No up. No down. Just drifting, slow, weightless, meaningless. For a while, he wandered. Or, floated. Or simply existed, suspended in something that wasn't quite oblivion. Is this death? He wandered, utterly confused. Why is it so loud? He couldn't tell where it was coming from, but somewhere far away, someone was shouting. Not words, just noise. Urgent, shaking, tearing itself against the edges of his fading consciousness. Then came the cold. A rush of it. Air. Hands. Voices. Metal clattered. Someone cursed. Someone else yelled for a stretcher. His body was turned, lifted, and dragged, he couldn't feel which. A stray thought drifted through the dark like a leaf. I'm already dead. Why does dying involve so much yelling? The world swallowed him again before he got an answer. Light. Sound. Pain. Too much pain, Yuta's eyelids twitched. Something beeped steadily beside him. A soft blanket weighed down his legs. He smelled antiseptic, strong enough to sting. Hospital. He didn't open his eyes immediately. His head felt like it was packed with wet sand. And then, so we're all in agreement that he shouldn't be alive? That's what the scans say. What about the bones? Which ones? Exactly. Voices whispered somewhere to the left of his bed. Medical staff. More than one. Another voice chimed in, younger, probably an intern. I'm just saying, I don't think ribcages are supposed to fold. Nothing about this kid is supposed to do anything, Suzuki. A sigh. Honestly, I think his survival is a crime against medical science. Someone else mumbled, please don't say that while he's unconscious. I mean it as a compliment. There was shuffling. Paper rustling. Someone tapped a clipboard. Anyway. The girl's in the waiting area. Hasn't moved in hours. If she could starve by worrying, she'd be gone. The words pierced through the haze. Eri. Yuta's fingers twitched. A nurse gasped softly. He tried to move. Oh, thank God, someone alert Dr. Ishikawa. No, wait, he's in surgery. Someone alert, someone else. More footsteps. More panic. Yuta forced his eyes open. The ceiling was white. Bright. Mockingly bright. He turned his head, and immediately regretted it. Pain flared viciously through his torso. He hissed sharply. There. See? He's alive. The intern squeaked. Looks miserable but alive. For someone who worked under Recovery Girl, I can confidently say this is a medical miracle. Yuta glared in the general direction of the voice. Please. He rasped, stop celebrating my suffering. A woman in a white coat stepped into view. Mid-40s, short hair, tired eyes, and the kind of expression that said she'd seen too much weird shit to be surprised by anything anymore. Mr. Akutami, she said flatly. Welcome back to the land of the living. I'm Dr. Ishikawa. Yuta blinked slowly. Thought you were in surgery. I was. Finished early. She pulled up a chair and sat down with the posture of someone who'd given up on proper bedside manner years ago. Let's skip the pleasantries. You were brought in 3 days ago, looking like someone put you through a meat grinder. Backwards. 3 days? Dr. Ishikawa nodded. 72 hours, give or take a few minutes. You were unconscious for most of it and semi-conscious for the rest. Mostly mumbling nonsense. Mumbling. Her expression didn't change. Indeed. Yuta's eyes slipped half shut again. So the mumbling wasn't a language, right? Oh no, the intern said. No human dialect. Just chaos. What kind of chaos? He cleared his throat. He said, and I quote, if I die, delete my browser history. Yuta wished very sincerely that he were dead. Dr. Ishikawa cut in sharply. Enough. He doesn't need to hear the rest. Which implied there was a rest. Yuta groaned. That was taken out of context. Was it? The intern asked. Yes, Yuta lied. Dr. Ishikawa moved on mercifully. Mr. Akutami, let's divert to the important part. Her tone shifted to a cooler, much more professional tone. In all my years, you have the most outrageous vitality I have ever seen. Yuta cautiously opened his eyes. Meaning that when you were brought in, your body was damaged beyond the threshold of what even the esteemed recovery girl could heal efficiently, she said matter-of-factly. Frankly, you shouldn't have survived long enough for us to even consider treatment. Then how am I? Alive? She folded her arms. Because apparently, your body decided medical logic was optional. He blinked, baffled. She continued, all we did was hook you up to life support and keep your organs functioning. The rest, she gestured at him with an odd mixture of irritation and reluctant admiration, you did. In 3 days. He stared. 3 days, of healing? Not healing. Healing implies scarring and recovery time. She lifted a tablet, tapping a few images open. What your body did is closer to reconstruction. Dr. Ishikawa turned the tablet toward him. Yuta blinked. The picture on screen was a corpse. Or close enough. Skin sloughed off. Entire patches are missing. Muscle torn, charred, shredded. Bones visible in ways bones were not meant to be visible. He sucked in a sharp breath. That's me? That was you, the doctor corrected. 72 hours ago. Your organs were shutting down, and your circulatory system was a disaster. Bone marrow damage, internal bleeding, frankly, you should have gone into full-blown cardiac arrest before the ambulance even reached Machida's outskirts. She returned her attention to Yuta. And yet, she gestured to him again, this time broadly. You're here. Awake. With intact skin. I've read your file, and despite the vast difference, I can only conclude that this was a result of your quirk keeping you from death. Yuta swallowed. I don't feel great. That's because your pain receptors are trying to unionize, she said dryly. But compared to where you started? You're shockingly stable. He hesitated. Can I see? She understood immediately. Without a word, she reached into a cabinet, retrieved a hand mirror, and placed it in his palm. Yuta took a breath, slow, careful, then angled the mirror. His reflection stared back. Paler than usual. Eyes slightly sunken. Hair a mess. But he looked normal. Anyway, your vitals stabilized last night, so we moved you out of critical care. You're in Machida General now. A sigh. Small miracles and large paperwork made that happen. Yuta frowned. Machida. His eyes suddenly widened. Wait, does my mom? Yes. The single word hit him harder than overhaul ever could. She's been here the entire time, Dr. Ishikawa added. Hasn't left except to use the restroom and meet with officials. Yuta's stomach dropped. Oh no. Oh yes. She's going to kill me. She seemed more concerned with keeping you alive, actually. Dr. Ishikawa stepped aside and pointed to the glass wall. There, just outside, was his mother, asleep in a wheelchair. A thin blanket draped over her. Her head resting against her hand. Breathing softly, exhaustion pulling at every line of her face. Yuta's throat tightened painfully. She shouldn't be, Ishikawa cut in. She wouldn't leave. Not even when we insisted. She rolled herself here despite 2 nurses begging her not to travel alone. That sounds like her. Terrifying woman, Ishikawa agreed. Then stepped back toward the door. We'll update you on your injuries once you're more alert. For now. Don't move. Don't twist. Don't sit up. Don't be clever, and don't pass out again, we're low on 4 lines. That's not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. Dr. Ishikawa left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Yuta stared through the glass at his mother. She looked smaller than he remembered. Thinner. The blanket had slipped halfway off her shoulder, and no one had fixed it. 3 days. 3 days she'd been here. Waiting. Watching. Probably blaming herself for not noticing something sooner. His chest felt tight. He tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his torso immediately, sharp, vicious, and completely unforgiving. He collapsed back with a hiss. Okay. Bad idea. Very bad idea. He lay there, breathing carefully, staring at the ceiling. The door opened again. Yuta's head turned slightly. A nurse, the same one from earlier, stepped in quietly, glancing at him. Oh. You're still awake. Barely. She walked over to check the 4-line, then paused. Do you want me to wake her? Yuta hesitated. Then nodded. Yeah. Please. The nurse stepped outside. Through the glass, Yuta watched her gently touch his mother's shoulder. Aiko stirred. Blinked. Sat up, too fast, winced, then turned her head toward the room. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Aiko was wheeling herself forward, hands gripping the wheels with more force than necessary. The nurse opened the door. Aiko rolled in. She stopped beside his bed, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Her hair was a mess. She looked like she hadn't slept properly in days. Because she hadn't. Yuta. Hi, Mom. For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then she reached out, slowly, carefully, and placed her hand on top of his. Her fingers were cold. 3 days, she whispered. I heard. He said while evading her gaze. Look at me. He obeyed. Her eyes were watering now. I thought I lost you. I'm sorry. She closed her eyes. Breathed. Don't you ever, ever, do that to me again. Yuta's throat tightened. I'll try. That's not good enough. I know. She wiped her eyes quickly, like she was angry at herself for crying. Silence settled between them for a moment. Then Aiko's expression hardened. What happened? Yuta looked away. It's complicated. Uncomplicated. He exhaled slowly. I don't remember much, he said quietly. Just. I saw a kid. She looked terrified. And I couldn't, he paused. I couldn't find the strength to leave her there. Aiko's hand tightened on his. He could feel it. The faint hum of her quirk. She was reading him, and he could make a good guess why. But it didn't matter. Because technically, it wasn't a lie. Eri's situation was exactly as he'd described. Any guilt or nervousness she picked up could be attributed to him feeling bad about lying on the phone. About putting himself in danger. About making her worry. Not about killing someone. Aiko's expression softened. Just slightly. The girl, she said quietly. Eri. Yuta nodded. Is she okay? Aiko hesitated. Physically, yes. The doctors cleared her. She paused. Emotionally, she's traumatized, Yuta. She won't speak to anyone. Won't eat unless someone sits with her. She's been through hell. Yuta's jaw tightened. Aiko watched him carefully. I met her, she continued. She's sweet. Scared. But sweet. She squeezed his hand. I understand why you couldn't walk away. Yuta glanced at her. But you're 15, Aiko said firmly. You could have died. You almost died. I know. And yet you'd do it again, wouldn't you? Yuta didn't answer. Aiko's expression crumpled slightly. You're just like your father, she whispered. Yuta blinked. What? She lifted her head, eyes wet. Reckless. Stubborn. Too brave for your own good. She squeezed his hand. He would have done the same thing. Yuta didn't know what to say. Aiko wiped her eyes again and straightened. We'll talk more later. Right now, she gave him a look. We need to discuss why you lied to me on the phone. Yuta groaned. Can we skip that part? Absolutely not. Worth a shot. Aiko's expression shifted, something between amusement and exasperation. So. The girl you were supposedly spending time with. Yuta wanted to sink through the floor. Mom, was she imaginary? Or did she conveniently vanish into thin air after you walked her home to another city? It wasn't. Look, I panicked, okay? Clearly. You were interrogating me. I was concerned. Same thing. Aiko raised an eyebrow. So you invented a romantic interest to throw me off? Yes. She stared at him. Then, despite everything, she laughed. You're terrible at lying, you know that? I'm aware. She shook her head, still smiling. You're lucky you're alive. Otherwise I'd kill you myself. Noted. The smile faded slightly. Yuta, next time you're in trouble, tell me. Don't lie. Don't hide. Just tell me. He nodded. Okay. Promise me. I promise. Aiko exhaled slowly, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. She opened her mouth to say something else when a knock came from the door. Both of them turned. Two figures stepped in when the nurse slid the door open, a tall man in a dark coat and a shorter woman with sharp eyes and a notebook already in hand. Mr. Akutami, he said politely. I'm Detective Hoshino. This is Detective Tanabe. We'd like to ask you a few questions. Yuta's stomach sank. Aiko's face frowned. He just woke up, she said firmly. Can't this wait? Hoshino's expression remained neutral. Unfortunately, no. This is regarding an ongoing investigation. The sooner we speak with him, the better. Aiko's jaw set. He's barely stable, we'll be brief, Tanabe said. Her tone was softer, but no less insistent. And we can have medical staff present if needed. Yuta glanced at his mother. Then back at the detectives. It's fine, Mom. Yuta, I'll answer their questions. Aiko looked like she wanted to argue. But she didn't. She just squeezed his hand once more, then released it. I'm staying, she said flatly. Hoshino nodded. That's acceptable. They both pulled out notepads. Hoshino's eyes settled on Yuta. Let's start simple, he said. Can you tell us what happened 3 nights ago? Yuta swallowed. Here we go. He kept it short. Simple, and as clean as he could make it. He'd activated his quirk the moment the question started. Subtle adjustments to his vocal cords, his facial muscles, and his breathing rhythm. Just enough to seem honest. Just enough to sell it. I slept past my stop, he said. Hainohara. Woke up in Machida instead. Hoshino scribbled something down. What time? Around 6. Maybe 6:10. And you didn't take the next train back? It wasn't coming for another 40 minutes. I was hungry, so I went to get food while I waited. Tanabe glanced up. Where? Restaurant near the station. I don't remember the name. She made a note. And that's when you encountered the girl? Yuta nodded. She was in an alley. Looked terrified. A man showed up right after. Can you describe him? Mid-30s. Brown hair. Wore gloves. A plague mask. Hoshino's pen paused. A plague mask? Yeah. Like, old-fashioned. Brown, I think. Tanabe and Hoshino exchanged a glance. What happened next? Hoshino asked. He said she was his daughter, Yuta continued. But she didn't look like she wanted to be there. She looked scared. Had bandages on. Most of all, she whispered for help. I thought they could be traffickers, and I couldn't just leave her, Yuta said. So I tried to talk. He didn't like that. Aiko's hand tightened on the armrest of her wheelchair. And the man attacked you, Tanabe said. Yeah. Once he figured I wasn't going to just leave, he touched the ground. The pavement just exploded. Spikes. Walls. He had the ability to reshape the entire terrain. He enclosed the space and trapped us in. Hoshino's brow lifted slightly. That tracks with what we know of Kai Chisaki, he said. Quirk name, Overhaul. Capable of deconstructing and reconstructing matter through touch. Tanabe added, but the scale you're describing is unusual. Yuta shrugged weakly. He was angry. Aiko's grip tightened. And your quirk? Hoshino asked. Your file doesn't indicate combat capability on that level. Yuta met his gaze evenly. It's a new development. Haven't had time to update it. I see. Yeah. I grabbed Eri. Ran. Dodged what I could. Thought if I could get to the main street with enough people, he'd back off. Yuta paused. But I couldn't escape. Then he touched me. Aiko flinched. Hoshino's expression didn't change. What happened when he touched you? Yuta's gaze dropped slightly. My body started breaking down. Like it was being pulled apart from the inside. But you survived. Barely. Yuta's voice was quieter now. My quirk gives me more control than I thought. I managed to keep my body together. Enough to not die instantly. Silence. Tanabe glanced at Hoshino. He looked back at Yuta. The kid's story checked out so far. They had seen the reports of his condition when he was brought to the hospital. The fact he was alive was a miracle of its own. Question. In that state, even if you survived, your body shouldn't have been able to fight back. Yuta met his gaze. I didn't fight back. I just survived. Then how did Chisaki die? Yuta paused. That means he really did die. And here I thought I was seeing things. He groaned while internally calculating what to say. This was it. The critical moment. I don't know, he said slowly. I was barely conscious. Everything was blurry. But I remember, he paused, as if trying to recall. I saw him get hit. Like something invisible attacked him before he could kill me. Then I saw someone at the other end of the alley. Hoshino straightened. Someone else was there? Yeah. I think. It's hard to remember clearly. Can you describe them? Yuta frowned, as if struggling. Tall. Male, I think. Wore a mask. Covering the lower half of his face. White hair. And, he touched the side of his eye. A scar. Here. On the left side. Tanabe was writing furiously. What did he do? I don't know. I passed out right after. Hoshino exchanged another look with Tanabe. Why would this person kill Chisaki but leave you alive? Yuta squinted his eyes at them. I just explained what my situation was like. Do you think I would know why? Maybe he was a vigilante. Maybe he thought I was already dead. My guess is as good as yours. Silence. Hoshino tapped his pen against his notepad. We'll need a sketch artist. Tanabe nodded. I'll call one in. 5 minutes later, the sketch artist, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and a tablet, sat beside the bed. Just describe what you remember, she said gently. Take your time. Yuta nodded. White hair. Messy. Spiky, maybe. She sketched quickly. The mask? Dark. Covered his nose and mouth. Like a ninja mask. Her stylus moved across the screen. The scar? Thin. Vertical. Over his left eye. She adjusted the lines. Anything else? Yuta hesitated. Slim facial features, I guess. Not this fat. She nodded, finishing the sketch. Then turned the tablet toward him. On the screen was a near-perfect recreation of Hitaki Kakashi. White hair. Mask. Scar over the left eye. Yuta's eyebrows twitched, barely. He exhaled through his nose. Yeah, he said. That's him. Tanabe clicked her pen shut. Hoshino nodded. We'll pursue this lead immediately. If you remember anything else, anything at all, contact us immediately. Yuta nodded. I will. Not. They bowed politely. Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Akutami, Hoshino said. We'll be in touch. They left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Aiko stared at Yuta. A masked vigilante? Yuta kept his expression neutral. That's what I saw. Aiko didn't look convinced. But she didn't push. Not yet. Yuta exhaled slowly, sinking back into the pillow. That was too close. But he'd done it. He'd sold the lie. Now he just had to hope they never found Kakashi. 3 more days passed in a blur of paperwork and bureaucracy. Police reports. Follow-up questions. Medical assessments. Detective Hoshino called twice. Both times, Yuta stuck to his story. Both times, the detective seemed satisfied, or at least, willing to move on. The investigations had commenced smoothly. Long story short, the Shai Hasaikai had collapsed. Without overhaul, the entire organization fell apart. Most of the high-ranking members vanished. Only a handful of low-level grunts were arrested, and none of them knew anything useful. Kai Chisaki was dead. And the case was quietly filed away. Yuta's part was listed as self-defense and left as that. No charges. No trial. Just a footnote in an investigation that would probably gather dust in some archive. The aftermath finally brought the boy some sense of relief. Thankfully, the worst was over. 3 days later, he was discharged from the hospital. His body still ached, every step reminded him of that, but he could move. He hailed a cab and headed towards the location his mom had told him. 10 minutes later, he was here. Foster facility, late morning, the automatic doors slid open. Yuta stepped inside. The lobby smelled like disinfectant and crayons. A few kids' drawings were taped to the walls, stick figures holding hands, a sun with a smiley face, and a dog with 5 legs. The receptionist glanced up. Can I help you? I'm here to see Eri, Yuta said. I called ahead. She checked her computer. Akutami? Yeah. One moment. She picked up the phone, spoke briefly, then hung up. Someone will be right with you. Yuta nodded and stepped aside. A minute later, a staff member appeared, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a tired smile. You're here for Eri? Yeah. Follow me. They walked down a hallway. Doors on either side. Soft chatter behind some of them. More drawings on the walls. The woman stopped in front of a small door. She's inside. She's been asking for you. Yuta swallowed. Right. Thanks. He raised his hand to knock. The door opened from the inside. Eri stood there, blanket draped over her shoulders. Bare feet. Wide eyes. She stared at him for half a second. Then launched forward. Oof, hey, careful. Her arms locked around his waist as he let out a slight wince. It wasn't an act. His body still hurt, which was normal after surviving the equivalent of a shredder. The hug of a 6-year-old packed quite the force. Yuta froze. Then slowly placed a hand on her head. Hey, kid. There was no reply. Just trembling. Her forehead pressed against his shirt. Feeling his clothes growing wet, Yuta sighed. It's all right. I'm not dead yet. Eri didn't laugh. Her arms just tightened. The caretaker stood in the doorway, watching quietly. She hasn't spoken all morning, she whispered. Yuta nodded without looking up. Yeah. I figured. He kept one hand on Eri's head until her shaking eased. When she finally loosened her grip, just enough for him to breathe, he knelt down a little to meet her eyes. I'm here, he said softly. And I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Her eyes flicked up, searching his face like she was trying to confirm he was real. Okay, she whispered. It was barely a sound. But it was something. The caretaker stepped back. You can take her to the common room. Her guardian's already here. Guardian? Yuta echoed. The woman smiled. You'll see. Common room. 20 minutes later, the room was small, sofas, a TV on low volume, shelves full of worn-down toys. Eri sat pressed against his side, blanket tugged around her like armor. Across from them sat Aiko Akutami. It turns out, Eri's initial state was worse than he imagined, refusing to talk or open up to anyone. It wasn't until his mom volunteered that the girl began showing signs of normalcy. I should have expected as much, Yuta thought, watching her. She had a cup of tea in her hands and a look that said she'd been waiting for this moment. Yuta, Mom, he answered, warily. She took a sip. I'm applying for emergency foster transfer. Yuta blinked. You're what? For a moment, he thought he heard wrong. Aiko gestured at Eri with the hand not holding her teacup. You nearly died for this child. I didn't die, Yuta muttered. You almost did. Almost doesn't count. Aiko raised an eyebrow. It counts to me. Eri curled closer at the word died, so Yuta stopped arguing on instinct. Aiko continued, calm and matter-of-fact. She trusts you. And she responds to me. That's more progress than she's shown with anyone else here. The caretaker standing by the door nodded. It's true. She barely ate until your mother arrived. Yuta looked between them. Okay, but adopting someone isn't something you just decide. Aiko didn't blink. I've decided more serious things with less information. That's not comforting. Before he could press further, another staff member walked in holding a clipboard. Mrs. Akutami, we prepared the preliminary forms you requested. Yuta's head whipped around so fast his neck popped. Forms? What forms? Why are there forms? Aiko accepted the clipboard with a polite smile. I asked for them while you were unconscious. You what? Eri flinched. Yuta instantly lowered his voice. Sorry. But, you what? Aiko flipped the first page. Foster emergency transfers are faster than full adoption. With the proper screening and background checks already done. She shrugged. We're essentially skipping a few steps. Yuta stared at her. You researched this. Of course I did. While I was in the hospital. I had time. This is insane. Aiko ignored him and continued signing. The caretaker smiled sympathetically. Given the circumstances and Eri's attachment, the board is willing to expedite the process. Yuta rubbed his forehead. I wake up and there's a whole conspiracy. Not a conspiracy, Aiko corrected. A family decision. I didn't get to decide. You weren't awake. Whose fault is that? He felt something tug on his sleeve before he could utter a word. Yuta looked down. Eri was looking back, staring at him with something that might have been hope. He sighed. Fine. It wasn't like he could do anything if he wanted to. Aiko smiled. Good answer. A little later, once the paperwork discussion wrapped up and Eri was taken for a quick check-in with another caretaker, Yuta leaned back and exhaled. You really planned all this? Aiko shrugged. You brought home a traumatized child once before. I assumed you'd eventually do it again. This is not the same as that stray cat. Debatable. Before Yuta could protest, a phone buzzed. The staff member checked it, nodded to them, then said, UA personnel are waiting for you at the front. Yuta blinked. Why? You were discharged today, correct? They said they're handling follow-up medical support. His stomach dropped. Oh no. UA Infirmary, afternoon. He hadn't been back on campus for 10 minutes before Recovery Girl was hovering over him with her cane like she was inspecting a faulty machine. Terrible condition, she muttered. Bonk. She tapped his forehead. Terrible. I literally just got out of the hospital, Yuta said. Barely. Bonk. Hold still. Aizawa leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eye bags extra prominent. Tsukachi stood nearby taking notes. Nizu sat on a stool, swinging his legs serenely. What an interesting child you are, Nizu said. That sentence troubles me, sir. Hold still. She kissed his forehead. Exhaustion crashed into him. TCH. Your vitality is strange. It's healing, but not normally. Your quirk's doing something I can't fully account for. She tapped her cane. Don't run. Don't lift. Don't train. Don't be stupid. Doctor's orders. Can we define stupid? Anything you'd normally do. Yuta squinted. I feel targeted. Aizawa nodded. After what you've done. I believe that is accurate. Tsukachi flipped a page in his notebook. Your statement's been archived. The self-defense claim is valid. No evidence ties you to Overhaul's death. Yuta kept his face blank. Nizu's smile sharpened. Though your story does have an interesting footnote. Which is? The mystery vigilante. Nizu steepled his paws. White hair. Mask. Scar over the left eye. Quite the description. That was the sketch artist, not me, Yuta deadpanned. Nizu smiled warmly. Too warmly. We'll investigate. But as far as you're concerned, you're clear. That's good to know. Good. However, do know that there are 7 days left until the sports festival. If you're not fully healed by then, you're not participating. Yuta's face sank. Nizu hopped off the stool. Oh, one more thing. You'll be attending counseling sessions for trauma processing. Your mother already agreed. Yuta covered his face. Evening, outside the foster facility. The sky was turning violet. Eri held his sleeve with both hands. Aiko waited beside her wheelchair, a blanket pulled over her legs. Come, she said. Let's go home. Eri hesitated. Yuta crouched slightly. Hey. You're coming with us. Just for now. All right? Eri's eyes lifted. Okay. Soft. But steady. Yuta felt something in his chest loosen. They boarded the taxi waiting for them. Aiko cleared her throat. Seatbelts. Both of you. If you tear open anything again, I will tape you to a bed. Mom, seatbelt. Yes, ma'am. Akutami residence, evening, the front door clicked open. Yuta stepped inside first, rubbing the back of his neck with a wince. Recovery Girl's quirk was a lifesaver, though that didn't fully ease his body's discomfort despite being completely fine on the outside. I should technically be fine now. What's going on? Eri peeked from behind him, blanket around her shoulders like a cape. Aiko followed last, keys in hand. Shoes off, she said automatically. I know, Yuta muttered, bending down slowly. Aiko sighed. You're moving like a pensioner. I'll be fine. Just need to sleep it off. Eri copied him, taking her shoes off with tiny, careful movements. When she finished, she looked up as if waiting for approval. You did great, Yuta said. She blinked, then nodded once. Aiko smiled and patted her head before rolling her wheelchair ahead. Eri, sweetheart, your temporary room is this way. Eri stayed close to Yuta instead, gripping the hem of his hoodie like a lifeline. Aiko glanced back. Or you can follow him. Both are fine. Yuta whispered down to her, it's okay. Just the room. I'll be right there. Eri hesitated, then whispered something barely audible. Come too? Yuta froze. Aiko mouthed a silent ah. I'm coming, Yuta said in a softer tone than intended. Eri finally let go of his hoodie, barely. And walked toward the hallway with tiny, cautious steps. He walked beside Aiko. She leaned in and whispered, You're good with her. Mom, please, my heart is already malfunctioning. He helped push his mom towards Eri's temporary quarters. The room was small but warm, fresh sheets, soft lighting, and a set of plushies Aiko had bought within the last 24 hours. Just when did you find the time to do all this? Yuta asked, mouth agape. Aiko smiled but didn't answer. Eri stepped inside. Her bright eyes examined the surroundings and then stopped, like she didn't know what to do with the space. Her posture shrank. The blanket tightened around her shoulders. Both mother and son had their faces fall. Well, no one said adjusting was going to be easy. Aiko gave him a look, gesturing with her head. Yuta sighed. Nevertheless, he moved forward and knelt beside her, not too close, not too far. It's yours for now, he said. You can change anything later if you want. Eri stared at the bed like it was a puzzle. Aiko came in behind them. Do you want to sit? Eri didn't move. So Yuta sat on the bed first. Eri followed immediately. Aiko watched this and sighed again, softer. Poor child. Then rolled her wheelchair around. All right. I'll get dinner started. Yuta, stay with her. You're not allowed to do anything strenuous anyway. What, am I in charge of emotional support duty? Yes. That wasn't a question, was it? No. Yuta slumped. Understood. He wasn't planning on running laps anyway. Silence settled after she left. Enough to make it somewhat awkward. What do I say? He thought he was clueless. He wasn't really bad with children's interactions. However, Eri was a special case. What could he do? Give her an All Might plus Ultra Impact video game? Or introduce her to checkers or something? Does it hurt? Thankfully, Eri spoke first. With Aiko gone, the girl had visibly relaxed under his gaze. Yuta blinked. Does what hurt? What happened to you? He hesitated. Then exhaled. A little. But it'll go away. She nodded, eyes fixed on her feet. I'm glad you didn't go away. The thought lingered longer than he would have liked. He probably wasn't the first person Overhaul had deconstructed before her. Just the first person to survive it. He reached out and ruffled her hair lightly. Yeah. Me too. Was this main character syndrome? Come to think of it, his life had been pretty unremarkable before the memory awakening. The highlight of the past 15 years was his mom's accident at Stain's hands. Yet just a week after, he would experience all this. I'd better not be in some. He paused, then sighed, and put the thought behind him. For a moment, nothing else mattered: the forms, the sports festival, the investigation, the counseling sessions, Stain. Just this tiny kid leaning against him like he was the safest thing in the world. It felt good. Aiko peeked from the kitchen. Her eyes softened. This, she decided, was the right choice. A little later, dinner. Dinner was quiet. Eri ate slowly and carefully, as if unsure she was allowed to enjoy food. Aiko kept refilling her bowl before she even had to ask. Yuta kept distracting her with dumb commentary. "Mom, why does your soup taste like it has trauma processing mixed in?" Aiko whacked him with a ladle. "Small bites," Aiko instructed. "You too. Both of you." "I'm literally injured, not sick," Yuta said. "Then act like it." Eri giggled, just barely. Yuta blinked at her. "Did you just laugh at my suffering?" The girl lowered her head, saying nothing. Aiko smiled into her teacup. "Alright, let's get a few things done straight. Orientation. Eri, welcome to the family." She paused. "Now Eri, let's set a few rules down. Rule 1, we eat dinner together. Rule 2. If Yuta attempts anything reckless, you must report him immediately. Don't cover up for him. Rule 3, Mom, what is this? Rule 3, bedtime is at 8:30 sharp unless you are bleeding. Yuta, talking to you. Mom? By the way. You're grounded. What? You think I've forgotten about the stunt you pulled? You nearly gave me a heart attack. Not just grounded. No video games, no cartoons, no TV privileges, no magazines. But I saved Eri. No buts. I don't care how noble your cause was. Every action has consequences. You'll just have to deal with it." Eri watched the exchange with wide eyes. Finally. "So this is my life now, huh?" Yuta leaned against the chair, eyes dull like the world had lost all meaning. Aiko's voice came from behind him. "Yes. Try not to ruin it again." Yuta snorted. Eri lowered her head, seemingly in thought. With the warm atmosphere, the dinner proceeded smoothly after that. 30 minutes later, Eri was asleep. Yuta stood in the hallway, one hand on the doorframe of Eri's room. She'd finally tuckered herself out, blanket tucked under her chin, holding a rabbit plush like it was a shield. Aiko approached quietly. "She likes you," she murmured. "She's a kid, Mom. Kids don't have great taste." Aiko sighed, then elbowed him. He winced. "Stop trying to joke your way out of this. Did you have to do that? You've proven you need sense knocked into you every once in a while." She admonished, eyes never leaving Eri. "I haven't seen a kid quite like her. She's scared and scarred. Those won't go away easily." "Yeah," Yuta said. "I know." Aiko studied him. "And you?" Yuta hesitated. "I'll be fine." Aiko didn't believe him. But she nodded anyway. "Good. Now get some rest. You have counseling tomorrow." Yuta groaned. "Can we not?" "No." "Oh, and Yuta?" "Yes?" "If you ever scare me like that again, I am grounding you until graduation." "Love you too, Mom." She rolled away. The lights of the Akutami home were put out for the night. Yuta closed the door to his room. He flicked the light on and dropped onto his bed face first. What a day. Foster care paperwork. Recovery girl checkups. Eri. To think he had been in the hospital for nearly a whole week. I'm gonna have so much homework to catch up on. He rolled onto his back and stared at the ceiling. The sports festival was in 7 days, and he would probably have a lot to catch up on. I'll just ask Hannah to lend me her. He paused. Suddenly remembering, I have friends. 6 days, he thought. I haven't messaged Hana or Kimura or Tanaka in 6 days. He reached for his phone, his hand stopped mid-air. Right. He didn't have a phone anymore. It was destroyed during the fight with Overhaul. Crushed. Probably sitting in an evidence locker somewhere, or incinerated with the rest of the crime scene debris. Great. He rubbed his face. I'll have to get a new one tomorrow. Explain why I ghosted them for a week. Hope they don't think I'm dead. He exhaled before getting into bed. Time elapsed. By the time it was midnight, Yuta still hadn't been able to fall asleep. Just what the hell is going on? He stood up. Something felt wrong. At first, he attributed it to his body being unwilling to continue lying down after 3 days of doing nothing, but that clearly wasn't it. He rolled his shoulders. Stretched his arms. Tested his legs. Externally, everything seemed fine. Recovery Girl had healed the major damage. His quirk had reconstructed the rest. But internally, something was still wrong. What is it? He closed his eyes and focused. Chakra pathways. He could feel them, faintly. Like a network of threads running through his body. But something was off. He activated his Sharingan. The world sharpened. He turned his focus inward. And froze. His chakra pathways were visible now, glowing faintly beneath his skin like veins of light. But they weren't smooth. They were frayed. Strained. Damaged. Like someone had forced too much pressure through a pipe that wasn't built to handle it. What the hell? He traced the damage mentally. It was worst near his core, where his chakra reserves were stored. The pathways leading outward were cracked. Stressed. Barely holding together. This is from the Mangekyo. He realized it immediately. When he awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan against Overhaul, he'd forced out chakra he didn't have. His body hadn't been ready. His reserves hadn't been deep enough. And his pathways had paid the price. So that's why I still feel like crap. Recovery Girl had healed his physical injuries. But this? This was something else entirely. Chakra pathway damage wasn't something conventional medicine could fix. Can I even fix this? He deactivated the Sharingan and sat back down. His chakra reserves had increased, that much was obvious. The near-death experience had pushed him past a threshold. But his pathways were damaged. Which meant using chakra, especially large amounts, would hurt. A lot. And I have 7 days to figure this out before the sports festival. He lay back and stared at the ceiling. Well, he exhaled slowly. That sucks. Akutami apartment, early morning. Yuta woke to the faint sound of footsteps in the hallway. Huh. He rose and saw a figure at the door. Not his mother's wheelchair. Eri? He found the girl standing by his doorway, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, clutching the rabbit plush. She didn't move. Didn't say anything. Just stood there, watching him like she needed to confirm he was still there. Yuta blinked the sleep from his eyes. Morning, he said quietly. Eri flinched slightly but didn't leave. He sat up slowly, careful not to make any sudden movements. Can't sleep? She shook her head. Nightmare? A pause. Then a small nod. Yuta exhaled softly and patted the edge of his bed. Come here. She hesitated. Then walked forward, stopping just at the bedside. Yuta shifted over slightly, making space. You can sit if you want. Just for a bit. Eri climbed up carefully, sitting cross-legged at the far end of the bed, blanket pulled tight around her. They sat in silence for a moment. You're okay? She whispered finally. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm better now. The silence continued. Do you want to talk about the thing? Eri went silent for a moment. I saw him. Yep. Just as he expected. The best-case scenario had unfortunately been avoided, with Eri having nightmares of overhaul. It's okay. He's not here anymore. He can't hurt you. But, what if I hurt you? Her eyes dropped to her lap. People get hurt because of me. Yuta's chest tightened. That's not true. It is. Eri, he said so. Every time. Yuta's frown deepened. Damn you, Chisaki. He was wrong. Eri shook her head. Listen to me. Yuta waited until she looked up. You're not cursed. You're not a problem. And you didn't make me do anything. I chose to help you. That's on me. Not you. Her lip trembled. But, no buts. He kept his tone firm but gentle. You're a kid. Kids aren't supposed to carry that kind of weight. Adults are. And I'm, well, not quite an adult yet, but close enough. Eri stared at him. Then, very slowly, she scooted a little closer. Not all the way. Just enough. Yuta didn't push. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They sat like that until Aiko's voice echoed from the kitchen. Breakfast. Both of you. Eri jumped slightly. Yuta stood and stretched, testing his body. Come on, he said. Mom's cooking is actually good. Don't tell her I said that. Dining table, 10 minutes later. The table was set with miso soup, rice, grilled fish, and vegetables. Yuta sat down carefully. Eri sat beside him. Aiko rolled up to the table. Eat, she said, placing bowls in front of them. You need your strength. I'm fine, Mom. Don't try that with me. I'm not buying it. I feel better than I look. That's not saying much. Yuta took his chopsticks. Eri didn't move. She looked at the food. Looked at Aiko. Looked at Yuta. Then whispered, I don't have to finish everything, right? Aiko's heart cracked so loud Yuta heard it. No, sweetie, Aiko said gently. Eat as much as you want. No one will punish you here. Eri nodded, slow and careful. She inched forward, picked up a piece of egg like it might explode, and started eating in tiny, quiet bites. Yuta sighed internally. This is gonna be a long road. The TV in the corner was on, low volume, morning news. Yuta wasn't paying attention until a familiar word caught his ear. The Shai Hasaikai organization dismantled following the death of its leader, Kai Chisaki, also known as Overhaul. Authorities report that most high-ranking members have disappeared, with only a handful of low-level operatives in custody. The incident, which occurred in Machida, left one unidentified victim hospitalized in critical condition. Police are still investigating. Yuta's chopsticks froze mid-air. Eri went very still. Aiko reached over and turned the TV off. Silence. They didn't say my name, Yuta said quietly. No, Aiko confirmed. The Hero Public Safety Commission requested it be kept quiet. Principal Nizu agreed. Your identity is sealed. Yuta exhaled slowly. Why? Because you're a minor. And a UA student. It's best to keep you away from attention. Attention that could possibly ruin your life. She glanced at Eri. And it protects her too. Eri's hands tightened around her chopsticks. Yuta set his bowl down. Thanks. Aiko nodded. Now eat. You're going back to school today, and I don't want you collapsing in the hallway. I'm not gonna collapse. I'll believe it when I see it. Eri looked between them, then quietly resumed eating. UA, General Studies Building, morning. Yuta stepped through the doors of Class 1D and immediately regretted it. Not because of his body, he felt okay, all things considered. But because the moment he walked into the General Studies building, 3 people materialized out of nowhere. Yuta! Hana sprinted toward him like a homing missile. Oh no, she skidded to a stop inches away, eyes wide. You're alive. Yeah. We thought you died. I didn't die. Kimura appeared beside her, arms crossed. You were gone for a week. No messages. No calls. Nothing. My phone got destroyed. Tanaka adjusted his glasses. Destroyed how? Yuta paused. Accident. What kind of accident? The destructive kind. Hana grabbed his shoulders. Are you okay? Like actually okay? Because you look okay, but you also look like you haven't slept in 3 days. Don't worry about it. I've looked worse. Kimura squinted at him. What happened? You were in the hospital for several days. Yuta sighed. Can we not do this right now? Before they could respond, Mrs. Nakamura appeared in the doorway. Akutami, she said flatly. He straightened immediately. Ma'am. She studied him for a moment. You look better than I expected. Thanks. Sit down before you fall over. I'm not going to, sit. He sat. Mrs. Nakamura turned to the rest of the class, who were all staring. Before homeroom begins, I want everyone to know that Akutami is recovering from an injury he was previously hospitalized for. He's recovered enough to attend class. No one is to bother him about it unless he brings it up himself. Understood? A chorus of murmured agreements. She glanced back at Yuta. If you need to leave early, let me know. I'm fine. That wasn't a question. If you feel dizzy at any time, go to the nurse. Hana gasped dramatically. He gets out of classes. Lucky. Yuta glared. Switch bodies with me, then. No thanks. Nakamura sighed. Everyone sit. And please don't pester him about his injuries. 3 hands shot up immediately. Tanaka, can we pester him a little? No. Akutami apartment, same morning. Aiko found Eri standing in the hallway. Not doing anything. Just standing. Still. Silent. Sweetie? Aiko softened her voice. Do you need something? Eri hesitated. Where's Yuta? He went to school, Aiko said gently. He'll be back this afternoon. Eri looked down. Like the words hit her physically. Aiko stepped closer. Do you want to wait in the living room with me? Eri nodded. But when she followed Aiko, she walked close. Not holding her hand. Then she sat quietly without complaint as the hours went by. Aiko smiled sadly. Poor child, how much fear is she carrying? League hideout, afternoon. The bar was quiet, lit only by the flickering neon sign humming outside. Kurojiri polished a glass out of habit, even though no customers had ever crossed this counter for legitimate reasons. Shigaraki sat hunched in a booth, hood up, with new scratches on his neck. His voice had the brittle tone of someone who had spent a week losing sleep. Where is he? He muttered. If this guy wastes my time, I'll decay his shoes first, then his ankles. Kurojiri tilted his head. He will be here soon. Jiren said he found someone, unique. Unique better mean useful, Shigaraki said. We can't afford another bunch of rejects. As if summoned by irritation, the door slid open. Jiren walked in first, loose tie, cigarette in mouth, eyes half open like he hadn't slept in a week. Behind him walked a wall of muscle that couldn't quite fit through the doorway. Kurojiri nodded politely. Welcome. Shigaraki, on the other hand, wasn't. Kurojiri speaks highly of you. This better not be a waste of time. Yeah, Jiren exhaled smoke. This is Kendo Rappa. Ex-Hasaikai. Ex-Hitman. Ex-everything. No hobbies besides hospitalizing people. Rappa stepped fully into the room, boots heavy against the wooden floor. He didn't look impressed. Or intimidated. Or interested. Mostly, he looked bored. Shigaraki stared at him from the booth, tapping his fingers against the table, for at first, then all five before he caught himself. He's big, Shigaraki muttered. Kurojairi hummed. Astute. Rappa's eyes narrowed. This is it? The League of Villains? Jiren coughed into his hand. He doesn't mean that as an insult. Probably. Shigaraki's head tilted slowly. Is he stupid? Rappa shrugged. I'm not here for a lecture. I came for one thing. He pointed at Shigaraki. A fight. There was a long, still silence. Jiren pinched the bridge of his nose. I told you not to start with that. I fight people, Rappa said. That's what I do. If he's the boss, I want to see whether he's worth listening to. Kurojairi folded his hands politely. You cannot fight him. Why not? Because he will kill you. Shigaraki didn't deny it. He wasn't posturing either, just annoyed. I don't fight for fun. I fight to break things. Rappa snorted. Weak excuse. Shigaraki stood, scratching at a patch of skin on his neck. We're done here. Tamura, Kurojairi said gently. Hear Jiren out. Shigaraki glared but sat back down. Jiren flicked ash into an empty glass and sighed. Let me make this simple before you two try to stare each other to death. He tapped his cigarette twice against the counter. Rappa here was part of a Yakuza branch that's, well, gone now. Collapsed practically overnight. Shigaraki blinked. Yakuza? They still exist? Barely, Jiren said. This one was called the Shai Hasaikai. Ever heard of them? Shigaraki shook his head. Exactly. Underground. Traditional old ways. Strict hierarchy. Lots of rules. Lots of kneeling. He jutted a thumb toward Rappa. And this guy was one of their top enforcers. Muscle for hire and packs quite a mean punch. Useful tool, don't you think? Rappa squinted. I'm not a tool. Shigaraki stared at him with a blank, unreadable expression. I mean, you kind of look like one. Rappa cracked all 10 knuckles at once. Jiren quickly stepped between them. Okay. Moving on. He continued, point is, Chisaki's dead. Their compound's gone. Their men are scattered. And Rappa, well. He gestures at the man towering over them. He's got nothing to do and way too much energy. Rappa crossed his arms. I said it already. I want fights. Real ones. Not staged matches. Not holding back for the boss's plans. Can your group give me that? I'll stick around. Shigaraki rubbed his thumb against his neck. So you don't care about our mission? Nope. You don't care what we do? Nope. You don't care about money? Rappa growled. Do I look like I care about money? Shigaraki opened his mouth, closed it, then muttered, no. Jiren shrugged. He's a simple investment. I return. No cost. Shigaraki finally leaned forward, elbows on the table. You'll listen to me? As long as you don't bore me. Shigaraki stared. Rappa stared back. It was like watching a Chihuahua try to intimidate a Rottweiler. Unsuccessfully. Kurojairi cleared his throat. Tamura. With the failure to kill All Might and our underlings captured, we do lack manpower. You wouldn't want to find yourself in a similar situation like the last time, right? Tamura paused. Last time? That was the USJ attack. His army of villains, beaten by a couple of bats wet between the ears. Ugh. Yeah. We wouldn't want a repeat of that. Shigaraki looked between them, Jiren, Kurogyari, and then up at Rappa. Fine. But if you get in my way, I won't, Rappa interrupted. Just point me at strong people. Shigaraki tapped the table. And if I order you not to fight? Rappa paused. Depends. Is the reason stupid? Shigaraki's eye twitched violently. Kurogyari placed a calming hand on his shoulder. Tamura. Think of him as a living battering ram. Yeah. With limited brain cells. Shigaraki said irritably. Whatever. Let's just get this over with. Perfect. A genuinely happy smile graced Jiren's features. I'll be expecting that finder's fee. It's nice doing business with you. He turned around and headed for the door. Kurogyari inclined his head. Welcome to the League of Villains. Mr. Rappa. Rappa rolled his shoulders, satisfied. Good. When do we start? Shigaraki didn't miss a beat. When we find someone annoying enough for you to punch. Rappa grinned. Perfect. Tea traying. The bell for fourth period rang. Along with it came the migration of the exhausted masses from class. Essays due Monday. Mrs. Nakamura called. And Mr. Akutami, her eyes sharpened onto Yuta, report to the guidance counselor's office. Yuta froze for a moment. What? The school has booked you for mandatory counseling based on your accident. But. Counselor's office. Now. The class collectively made an "oh" sound. Shut up, Mrs. Nakamura said without looking at them. Then, to Yuta, the counselor is waiting in counseling room 3. Don't keep him. Yes, ma'am. Several students snorted. Yuta closed his notebook slowly. Very slowly. Yo, Yuta. Hana appeared at his desk, holding something. His textbook. Someone returned this during lunch a few days ago, she said, setting it down. Hero course girl. Pink skin, yellow eyes. Said it belonged to a Yuta Akutami. Kimura leaned on the desk. We were betting you lost it. Yuta sighed. Just my luck. How did you lose this one? I didn't lose it. It just got away from me. He replied, taking the book. Hana raised an eyebrow. Textbooks usually don't run. I'm aware. She smirked but let it go. We're grabbing ramen at the station after school, she said. You coming? Kimura nodded. Yeah, man. Celebrate you surviving the odds. Yuta's face darkened. You make it sound like I have a deadly disease. It's not our fault you won't tell us what happened. We can only speculate. Truth be told, the boy wasn't far off on the celebration. Defeating Overhaul truly was a feat worth celebrating. However, Yuta sighed. I can't. I have to head home. Ooh, because you're grounded, he deadpanned. Immediate sympathy. Tanaka placed a hand over his heart. We grieve with you. Be strong, Hana added. Send us a signal if you escape, Kimura nodded solemnly. Yuta slung his bag over his shoulder. Rain check. Rain check. He walked out of the classroom. Yuta walked out of the classroom, the door sliding shut behind him with the soft whump of academic doom. Mandatory counseling. He exhaled through his nose. Of course UA wouldn't just let him walk it off. He did get folded like a human omelet and hospitalized for a week. It made sense. Still. Did they really have to book it without asking him first? He adjusted his bag and headed down the hallway. Counseling room 3. Counseling room 3. As he walked, his brain, traitor that it was, began spiraling. Counseling. At UA. Which meant midnight. Because who else, right? The R-rated hero was the wellness teacher, the conflict mediator, and the staff member who did mental health evaluations for hero course students. She'd lectured enough about emotional vulnerability in assemblies to make half the first years fear eye contact. Yuta gulped. Man. How am I supposed to talk about trauma with someone who shows up dressed like that? He rubbed his temples. Hopefully it wouldn't be too awkward. Hopefully she'd be professional. Hopefully she wouldn't ask him to sensually express his feelings in a journal or something. Yuta approached the frosted glass door marked Counseling Room 3. Okay. Midnight. You got this. Just breathe. Pretend it's normal. Nothing weird will happen. You are still a minor after all, he knocked lightly. A deep, calm voice answered from inside, come in. Yuta froze. Wait, that's not midnight. He slowly pushed the door open. Inside, behind a large desk, sat a hulking figure. Broad shoulders, muscular frame, ears perked on top of his head, tail resting lazily. He gave Yuta a measured look. Yuta stumbled slightly, trying to collect his thoughts. Hello. I'm Yuta Akutami. The figure smiled faintly, voice calm and steady, yup. That's you. Have a seat. Yuta blinked. And blinked again. This wasn't midnight. This was Hound Dog? Is the counselor? Wasn't the counselor supposed to be? He paused as something clicked. Earlier, Mrs. Nakamura had mentioned of him when referring to the counselor. He just didn't notice at the time. Well, that was unexpected. He stepped in cautiously, bag clutched to his chest. Hound Dog gestured toward the chair across from him. Sit down. Don't worry, I don't bite, unless you try anything funny. Right. Of course. Hound Dog leaned back, resting his arms on the desk. So. You're here because the school thinks you might have trauma issues after your little incident. Yuta shifted in his seat, cheeks heating. Little incident? That's one way to put it. Hound Dog steepled his fingers. Tell me how you're feeling. No tricks, no I'm fine lies. You're 15. You were nearly killed by a villain. Your body was torn apart. That's a lot to process. Yuta exhaled slowly, trying to calm the fluttering in his chest. Torn apart? Yep, that's accurate. I mean, I'm okay. I guess. I didn't exactly die or anything. And people helped. So. He trailed off. Hound Dog gave a low hum. Helping doesn't erase the stress. Seeing danger up close, thinking you might not make it, that sticks. Even if no one else saw it. I guess it's just weird, he muttered. Everyone who knows keeps acting like I should be a mess. But I'm not. I don't know if that makes me fine or if it makes me broken in a different way. Hound Dog nodded slowly. Normal reaction. It is? Yep. He tapped the desk twice. Trauma isn't a one-size thing. Some kids shut down. Some kids cry. Some kids joke. Some kids feel nothing for a while and then panic later, usually in the shower or while eating cereal. Everyone is different. You can't expect everyone to act the same way. That's oddly specific. I've worked here a long time. Hound Dog waved a paw. Point is, you're not abnormal for not falling apart immediately. Shock, adrenaline, and teenage stupidity go a long way. I feel like that was partially an insult. It was. They sat in silence for a moment. Hound Dog leaned forward. Let me ask you something. In that situation, how did you feel? Honestly? I would say despair. Is that so? Pretty much. He nodded. Nothing I thought of worked. I wasn't even trying to fight. I was just trying to escape, yet even that didn't work out. It was frustrating. I can imagine. Though you kept trying. Well, yeah. There was a kid at stake. Good. The pro-hero nodded. That's a sign your brain was prioritizing. Protecting someone can override fear. Makes you focus on something outside yourself. It's healthy, until it isn't. Until it isn't? Let me ask you something. Do you understand how lucky you are to be alive? Yeah. Do you understand that most people in your situation wouldn't have survived? Yeah. Do you understand that what you did? Fighting a villain alone, without backup, could have gotten you killed? Yuta's jaw tightened. Yeah. Hound Dog nodded slowly. Good. Because I need you to understand the consequences of what could have happened. He picked up her clipboard and flipped a page. If you had died, your mother would have lost her son. Your friends would have lost a classmate. And UA would have lost a student. While the girl in question would have still been taken away. Nothing would be gained, but your life would be lost. Silence filled the rock. Kid. No one is saying what you did is wrong. It is never the wrong choice to try to save someone's life. But if you only focus on other people, you forget you're allowed to be scared too. You nearly died, kid. You don't have to play tough for me. Or your friends. Or your teachers. Yuta looked down again. The words sat heavier than he expected. Come to think of it, just what exactly was he supposed to feel? Terror? Fear? That didn't seem right. Others might not know, but he had killed Overhaul. Sure, it was difficult, and he almost died, but he won. Despite his grievous injuries, quite easily at that. It would be wrong to fear what he had defeated. Perhaps that reasoning was flawed after discovering his inability to use the Mangekyo again last night, but it is what it is. But if not fear and terror? Then what? Guilt? His mind wandered to the terrible things he remembered Overhaul doing in the anime. Nope. That didn't seem right either. I'm not trying to play tough, he mumbled. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Hound Dog's tone softened. You're supposed to feel whatever you're feeling. That's it. No checklist. Yuta let out a slow breath. So I'm not failing at trauma. Congratulations, Hound Dog said dryly. You're passing with a solid C+. Wow. Thanks. Anytime. Another pause. Hound Dog checked something on the clipboard beside him. All right. School policy says I have to ask this next part directly. He cleared his throat. Do you feel like you're in danger now? Physically or mentally? Yuta blinked. No. Any panic? Sudden fear? Nightmares? Loss of appetite? No. Just homework. Tragic. Yuta snorted before he could stop himself. Hound Dog set the clipboard down. Good. Then you're not in the danger zone. You're in the processing zone. That tends to bring less need for worry. So I'm allowed to go? Couple more questions. Then yes. Yuta sat up straighter. Hound Dog raised an eyebrow. Last one, if something like that happened again, if you were facing something dangerous, would you freeze up? Or would you still act? Yuta didn't have to think long. I'd still act. Hound Dog nodded, satisfied. Then you're fine. He stood, stretching his back with a quiet crack. Well, emotionally fine-ish. Physically? You bounce like wet paper, so work on that. I walked into that one. Yep. Hound Dog reached into a drawer and slid something across the desk. A small card. Yuta picked it up. If you start feeling off, Hound Dog said, or if something hits you out of nowhere, call that number. Or come back here. You don't deal with this alone. Got it? Yuta inspected the card. A phone number. Office hours. A tiny doodle of a dog paw. Did you draw this? No. Yuta looked at him. Hound Dog sighed. Okay, yes. I was bored during lunch. Yuta smiled faintly as he put the card away. Thanks. Good. Session over. Hound Dog walked to the door and opened it for him. That's all for today. But I want to see you again next week. Same time. Okay. Yuta stood and headed for the door. Then paused. One more thing. I wanted to know if... Before he could finish, the door slid open from the outside. Hey, Rio, did you fill out the faculty wellness survey yet? Nizu's threatening to replace all our chairs with yoga balls again. Yuta's brain short-circuited. Midnight stepped in, clipboard under one arm, heels clicking softly against the floor. Her eyes flicked to Yuta. Oh. Student in session? Session's basically done, Hound Dog grumbled. And no, I didn't fill out the survey. Because I'm not doing yoga while grading essays. He turned back to Yuta. What was your question? I wanted to know if there's a place I can train. For the sports festival, I mean. Hound Dog tilted his head slightly. Train? Yeah. Like, gym equipment. Training grounds. That kind of thing. There was a pause. Both pro-heroes turned to look at each other for a while before looking back at him. You thought you didn't have access? Asked Midnight. Leading Yuta to realize that something was wrong. General Studies isn't hero course. I figured most of the equipment was off limits. Midnight stared at him. Then laughed. Not a polite chuckle. A full, genuine laugh that made Hound Dog's ear twitch. Oh, sweetie. No. You have full access to any general training facility on campus. Yuta blinked. I do? Yes, Midnight said, walking over and leaning against the desk. Weights, treadmills, endurance rooms, open fields, everything not specifically marked for quirk testing or hero course drills. She crossed her arms, grinning. Why did you think it was restricted? I don't know. Priority? Budget? Space? Yuta scratched the back of his head. Hound Dog huffed. Kid, UA is the biggest hero academy in Japan. We've got more gyms than some pro agencies. Midnight nodded. Every student, hero course, support, general studies, business, has access. The sports festival is designed for all of you. Yuta stared at them. Oh. Midnight smirked. There are even sign-up sheets if you want reserved time slots. Check the bulletin board near the cafeteria. Oh. Hound Dog gave him a flat look. You really thought we'd lock you out? I didn't want to assume. Fair, Hound Dog grunted. But next time? Just ask. Midnight pulled a pamphlet from the folder she was holding and handed it to Yuta. Here. Training Facility Guide. Times, locations, equipment lists. Read it. Use it. Yuta took it carefully. Thanks. Midnight's expression turned serious. But Yuta? He looked up. Don't overdo it. You're still recovering. Push too hard, and you'll end up right back in the hospital. You've heard of me? The lady grinned even wider in response. A UA student getting hospitalized is a rare occurrence, dear. Especially in a case like yours. Almost all the staff know about it. I'll be careful. Good answer, Hound Dog said. Now get out. I've got paperwork. Yuta nodded and headed for the door and into the hallway, pamphlet in hand. So I can train on campus. Relief washed over him. His mom wouldn't let him train at home. Not after seeing him nearly dead in a hospital bed. And he was grounded, so sneaking out wasn't an option. But this? This worked. He looked down at the pamphlet. UA High School, Training Facilities Guide. Open hours, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Weekdays, available equipment, weights, treadmills, combat dummies, open fields, and obstacle courses. Reservation system, sign-up sheets posted near the cafeteria. 6 days until the sports festival. He exhaled slowly. All right. Let's make it count. 5 minutes later, his phone buzzed with a text from his mom, *be home before 5. No detours. No strenuous exercises. I'll call the school if I get a whiff of anything, *. He groaned softly. That's right. Grounded. He'd barely left the building. The school day wasn't even over. He didn't have any plans when leaving the house earlier, so there was no possibility of her noticing he was planning anything suspicious. He literally wasn't. And yet somehow, she still managed to preemptively limit every possible freedom he might have considered. He dragged a hand down his face. I didn't even do anything. Training room access meant nothing if he wasn't allowed to stay on campus late. And if he pushed his luck any further, she'd personally drag him home by the collar. He sighed and started walking toward class. Fine. No gym today. I'll just get to work on something else. He had other plans beyond just physical exercise. Developing jutsu was one of them. In the battle with Overhaul, Yuta's lack of any offensive means had left him in a passive position. If he wanted to participate in the sports festival, just body flicker was far from enough. However, his fundamental problem hadn't changed. The lack of theoretical foundation was a problem hard to overcome quickly. I'll head to the library then. If he couldn't find anything useful, then he would have to brute force his way to a solution, relying only on memory. Hand seals, chakra molding, and elemental formulae. Hope I find something useful. He adjusted his bag and made his way down the corridor, weaving through groups of students migrating to their next classes. General studies kids chatting. Support course kids hauling projects. Hero course kids, being loud. Let's try the other way. He thought upon noticing a certain pink-haired and invisible girl among them. Eventually, he made it to his location. The quiet of the library wing was a welcome relief. Thud, thud, thud. His footsteps softened as he crossed into the carpeted section of the building. It was cooler here, dimmer, calmer, a place where even Class 1A couldn't cause explosions without getting shushed into oblivion. All right. Focus. I need something, anything, on energy manipulation, quirk theory, key studies, whatever overlaps with chakra molding. He rounded the corner and pushed open the library door. The familiar scent of old paper and disinfectant hit him. Rows of shelves stretched out like a forest of potential answers, or a reminder of how catastrophically little this world understood chakra. 2 students sat at a table whispering over homework. The librarian glanced up, nodded once, and returned to stamping a stack of books. Yuta slipped inside quietly. He headed straight to the reference section. Biology of quirks, applied psionics, metahuman energy responses, internal support regeneration. None of these were chakra, but maybe there was overlap. Even a single parallel was enough to build a theory around. He skimmed the spines. Nothing on internal energy pathways, nothing on molding practices, nothing on elemental conversion. He kept moving. Then, a single title caught his eye. An Introduction to Structured Energy Channeling in Ancient Martial Arts. Okay, that's not nothing. He pulled the book free. Dust puffed off the cover dramatically, as if the universe wanted to remind him the thing hadn't been touched since the Meiji era. He cracked it open. Diagrams. Breath training. Pressure points. 5 minutes later, nope. That's not right. He placed the book back and continued his search. The result was exactly as he expected. Nothing. He exhaled slowly, shutting the last book with a soft thunk that echoed louder than it should have. Of course. Why would it ever be easy? Sitting here expecting UA's library to magically hand him a blueprint for chakra techniques was wishful thinking at its finest. This world didn't even have chi standards, much less chakra theory. He stared at the shelves for a moment longer. Maybe one part of him hoped a secret scroll would spontaneously spawn if he glared hard enough. It didn't. Alright. Plan B it is. Trial and error. His least favorite option. Mostly because error usually involved mild explosions, smoke, or something catching fire. I'll map out what I can make work. Yuta stepped out of the library with nothing but a flimsy notepad and the creeping realization that if he wanted progress, he'd have to brute force his way through chakra theory like a caveman reinventing math. The bell soon rang for dismissal, and by the time he got home, Yuta had already mapped out everything he remembered from the Naruto world on scratch paper. Poorly drawn hand seals scribbled and arrows pointing at each other like a conspiracy board. What is this? Yuta blinked. Huh? Eri said no more, simply pointing to the haphazard writings on his notebook. Just a school project I am working on. I need to finish it if I want to perform well in the sports festival. What's a sports festival? It's a pain in the ass. He had barely finished when, language. A smack landed on his head in full force. Ow. Watching my suffering, Eri giggled in response. Focusing back on remembering the hand seals, basic academy jutsu were the easy ones. Transformation technique, dog boar ram. Clone technique, ram snake tiger. Substitution, tiger boar ox dog snake. Body flicker, no seals, just chakra control and intent. He scribbled them down quickly, letting muscle memory fill in the gaps. Then came elemental ninjutsu. Fire release, great fireball, snake ram monkey boar horse tiger. Fire release, phoenix flower, rat tiger dog ox rabbit tiger. Fire release, dragon flame, horse dragon rabbit tiger. Water release, water bullet, tiger ox monkey rabbit boar. Hidden mist technique, no seals, just chakra into moisture dispersion and environmental saturation. He hesitated. Hidden mist might be doable, even if he didn't have the affinity for it, but he'd table that. Earth release, earth flow spears, tiger hair dragon. Earth release. Earth dome, tiger hair boar bird rat. Wind release, great breakthrough, ram snake horse. Wind release, gale palm, no seals, just directional chakra emission. Lightning release, chidori, ox rabbit monkey. Principles, high-speed thrust plus concentrated lightning chakra plus tunnel vision risk. Lightning release, lightning beast tracking fang, snake ram dragon tiger ox dog. And the one he absolutely could not use, lightning release, Kirin. Relies on natural lightning, basically impossible here. Still, he wrote it down. Knowing the theory wasn't harmful. Finally, he scribbled out the most infamous chakra manipulation technique, Rasengan, chakra rotation plus shape transformation plus stable compression. No seals. Pure molding. Thankfully, I no longer have the reserves of a depressed houseplant. It looked solid on paper. In execution? He spent most of the night kneeling on his bedroom floor, palms pressed together, trying to mold chakra into something, anything, while keeping the output microscopic. He wasn't stupid enough to try fire release indoors. Or lightning. Or wind. Or anything explosive. So he stuck to the harmless ones. Transformation jutsu, shadow clones, and substitution. Facts proved he had overestimated himself. The greatest result he could get was a wavy image from transformation and a puff of smoke from clone jutsu. He tried adjusting his chakra ratio, compressing more tightly, loosening the circulation, and even attempting to rotate his chakra clockwise, which made no sense but felt spiritually correct. Nothing. By midnight, he face-planted onto his bed. Okay. Day 1, I have learned absolutely nothing. Day 2 came in the blink of an eye. This time, he added theory. Chakra is not equal to quirk energy. Chakra circulates like blood. Chakra molds like clay. Hand seals equals mental scaffolding. Transformation heavy on shape manipulation clone low chakra, high precision elemental nature manipulation plus shape plus ratio control. He wrote the formulas out again, this time, translated, into UA physics. Internal energy convert external effect conversion efficiency equals chakra control times mental image stability equals hand seals times flow alignment. This time, he wasn't progressing. However, his biggest gain was figuring out why nothing worked. In theory, with his perfect chakra control and knowledge of most hand seals, he should be able to perfectly recreate any jutsu he remembered. However, trial and error said otherwise. Performing jutsu required more than just seals. The hand seals only helped properly summon and mold chakra. Meaning it helped those with low chakra control get past the first hurdle. However, it did not tell him the ratio of chakra to use nor the pathways in which they should flow through. In the ninja world, ninjas possess tenketsu and numerous chakra pathways. Without this knowledge, reproducing jutsu in an instant is a pipe dream. My current situation is probably worse than Naruto's, isn't it? At this point, his notes looked like the diary of a mad scientist. I need another plan. With 6 days left, Yuta couldn't afford to lay all his eggs in one basket. Time for plan C then. If chakra theory refused to cooperate, then he'd make the sports festival cooperate instead. The way to achieve that? His quirk. That, at least, worked cleanly. No hidden theory. No ninja mechanics he couldn't access. But for that, he needed support gear. Not weapons, exactly. UA would never approve of kunai and shuriken being used. It's ironic, as Aoyama was literally blasting Mina with a laser that could destroy steel during said festival. But tools he could mark that could support movement or utility or misdirection. Something durable. There was only one place to get that. The support department is back in school. It wasn't ideal, but if he could get Hatsum or one of the other support maniacs to build something simple, weighted tags, markers, anything conductive or trackable, he could use his quirk without burning himself out. But getting the materials wasn't the complicated part. Asking for them was. If he remembered right, he would need to fill in paperwork to use any support gear during the sports festival. Something Ida would learn after being tricked by a certain pink-haired gremlin. Still, if he didn't ask, he'd have nothing. The better the materials, the better his chances of winning. He let out a long breath, closing his notebook. Tomorrow, I'm going to the support course. One way or another, I'm walking out with something I can use. UA Development Studio, morning. The studio sat near the east wing, tucked between two labs. Most students didn't even know it existed. The sign outside read, Prototype and Design Access, Authorized Entry Only. Inside, the smell hit him first, metal dust, ozone, and machine oil. Rows of workbenches lined the walls, scattered with spare joints, polished tools, and half-assembled drones. Mechanical arms hummed overhead, sorting components. A few development students were already at work, focused on their terminals. Yuta stepped through the doorway and immediately felt out of place. A girl with goggles and pink hair was arguing loudly with a drill press. Another student was testing what looked like a backpack-mounted flamethrower. Someone yelled, "Clear," and an explosion of purple smoke filled the back corner. Nobody screamed. Nobody even looked. This place needs a safety inspector. Or an exorcist. He made his way past the chaos, scanning for someone who looked like they knew what they were doing. Near the center desk sat a short, stocky figure in a yellow hard hat and work gloves, flipping through blueprints. Power Loader. The development studio supervisor and one of UA's more practical faculty members. Also, coincidentally, the person Yuta needed to not piss off today. Yuta approached carefully. "Excuse me, sir." Power Loader glanced up. His yellow visor reflected the overhead lights. "Yes? I'm here to submit a support gear request for the sports festival." Power Loader leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. "Name and class?" "Yuta Akutami. General Studies, Class 1D. The visor tilted slightly, subtle interest, maybe suspicion. "General Studies, huh?" Power Loader's tone wasn't dismissive, just mildly surprised. "You planning to transfer into the hero course?" "That's the goal." "Good answer." He gestured toward a clipboard on the desk. "Fill that out. Include quirk details, item specifications, and the reason for the request. Be specific. If it's vague, it gets rejected." Yuta picked up the clipboard and scanned the form. Support Gear Request Form, UA Sports Festival. Student name, class, quirk name, quirk description, requested items, reason for request, safety justification. He pulled out a pen and started writing. Student name, Yuta Akutami. Class, 1D, General Studies. Quirk name, Enhanced Control. Quirk description, object manipulation via physical contact. User can mark objects with kanji and control them telekinetically within a variable range. Precision and range improve with focus and stamina. Requested items: 1. 25 aluminum palm plates, 18, 20 cm, 2 to 3 mm thick, lightweight with reinforced cores. 2. 15 dulled kunai, 20, 25 cm, blunted tips, rubberized grips. 3. 20 dulled shuriken, 10, 12 cm diameter, rounded edges, rubberized rims. 1 capture cloth, 4 to 5 m, synthetic fiber, fire resistant. Reason for request: my quirk requires physical objects to function. Without external items to manipulate, I have no offensive or defensive options. The requested gear provides safe, non-lethal tools I can control effectively during the festival. Safety justification: all items are dulled, blunted, or otherwise modified to eliminate lethal risk. The capture cloth is standard restraint equipment used by pro heroes. These tools allow me to demonstrate my quirk's potential without endangering other students. He reread it once, made sure nothing sounded too aggressive, and set the pen down. Then he pulled out a folded sheet of paper from his pocket, a handwritten letter he'd drafted last night. He clipped it to the form. To Power Loader, Development Studio Supervisor Support Gear Request, Yuta Akutami. Sir, I understand that support gear regulations exist to maintain fairness and safety during the sports festival. I respect that completely. However, I would like to clarify that my quirk is fundamentally non-functional without physical objects to manipulate. I'm not asking for performance enhancements, I'm asking for the bare minimum tools required to participate meaningfully. The items I've requested are all dulled, blunted, or otherwise modified for training use. They pose no greater risk than standard hero course equipment already approved for combat exercises. If this request is denied, I will be forced to work with whatever objects are available in my immediate environment. Desks, chairs, loose stones, or potentially sharp kitchen utensils from home. I would prefer to avoid that scenario, both for my safety and the safety of my classmates. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, Yuta Akutami Class 1D. Yuta clipped the letter neatly to the form and slid the clipboard back across the desk. Power Loader picked it up without a word. He read the form first. His expression didn't change. Then he flipped to the letter. 5 seconds in, his visor tilted slightly. 10 seconds, and his mouth twitched. 15 seconds, and he set the clipboard down very carefully. "Kid," he said, voice flat, "did you just imply you'd use kitchen utensils as improvised combat tools if this gets rejected?" "No, sir," Yuta replied calmly. "I stated a hypothetical safety risk." Power Loader stared at him. Yuta didn't blink. Behind them, someone's jetpack misfired and slammed into a ceiling beam. Nobody reacted. Power Loader exhaled slowly through his nose. "Kid." "Yes, sir." "This is either the most reasonable or the most unhinged request I've seen this month. I prefer to think of it as practical." "Kid. I can't approve this." Yuta blinked. "Is something wrong with the request?" "No," Power Loader said slowly. "Technically it fits under quirk-dependent tool allowances. The items are non-lethal. Your reasoning is detailed. Even your letter, while vaguely threatening, covers the bases. Then? I'm not the one who approves sports festival gear." Power Loader tapped the clipboard. "This goes to the Quirk Equipment Oversight Committee. They'll review it. I'll send it in now. You should get an answer by early afternoon." He paused. "Don't get your hopes too high. They reject half the hero course requests." "I understand." "Good. In the meantime, do not sharpen kitchen knives. That was never my plan." Still saying it out loud. He stamped the intake slip and waved Yuta off. "Come back when you're called." Yuta bowed slightly and escaped before the studio exploded again. 3 hours later, support course announcement. Student Yuta Akutami of Class 1D, the PA system chirped, "Please report to Development Studio Room A. Your support gear request has been reviewed." The voice was disturbingly cheerful. Yuta's stomach sank. Good news was never announced in that tone. When he arrived, the room was unusually quiet. Power Loader stood behind the desk. And beside him, "Good afternoon, Yuta." Nizu waved cheerfully, tail swishing, eyes bright enough to cut steel. The small mammal sipped tea from a floral cup, smiling like he'd been waiting all morning for this scene to occur. Yuta's stomach sank even further. "That was fast," he said carefully. "Oh yes. Your application was quite interesting. We prioritized it." Power Loader didn't speak. Which was worrying. Nizu set the teacup down with a bright clink. "Now then. Let's discuss your support gear request." Yuta inhaled. "Was it approved?" "Nope." Nizu held up the clipboard, now stamped with a large, unmistakable red mark, "Rejected." Yuta kept his expression neutral. "May I know the reason?" "But of course." Nizu beamed. "There are several." He lifted one paw. "First, necessity. You see, the UA Sports Festival is a test of individual ability, not external equipment. Hero Course students may use support gear only if it is registered as part of their quirk function, while support course students can use anything they make themselves. General Studies students, however, are subject to the same restrictions as the Hero Course. To be fair, UA was informed of your accident several days ago. Your police statement regarding the incident was reviewed by the committee. Fascinating reading. You described evading rapidly shifting terrain, dodging debris under pressure, and maintaining spatial awareness while injured." Nizu tilted his head. "Such demonstrated agility calls into question whether you require tools to function in a combat environment. In fact, you performed quite impressively without any." Yuta's jaw twitched. Nizu lifted his second paw. Second, categorization. Your quirk involves object manipulation, a form of tactile-initiated telekinesis. The committee determined that this does not inherently require specialized weapons to participate in the festival. And third, Nizu smiled wider. Precedent. We must ensure fairness. If a general studies student requests bladed tools, even modified ones, then other students with similar quirks may attempt the same. We cannot open that door right before the sports festival. He folded his paws neatly. So, combined with your previous performance, the conclusion was simple. Nizu's voice remained bright, cheerful, and mercilessly final. You don't need the equipment. Yuta inhaled slowly. I see. Oh, don't feel discouraged, Nizu added. Your creative approach was delightful. Truly one of the more entertaining submissions I've seen this year. Yuta bowed slightly. Thank you for informing me. You're very welcome. Good luck at the festival, Nizu chirped. Creativity thrives under limitation. I'm sure you'll perform wonderfully with whatever you can legally use on the field. Yuta inhaled once. Deeply. Understood, sir. Splendid. Do your best without stabbing anyone. Yuta blinked. I wasn't planning to stab anyone. Perfect. I'll be rooting for you. Nizu hopped off the stool. Goodbye now. I have 6 more forms and an explosion report to review. They watched as he moved out the exit. Finally, the power loader broke the silence. It was a good request. Surprisingly sane, compared to most I get. Power loader scratched the back of his head. But management signs off on festival gear, not me. You'll have to improvise. Yuta nodded slowly. Yeah. I figured. He turned toward the exit. Plan C, acquire support gear. Rejected. Time for Plan D then. UA cafeteria, afternoon. Yuta lay backward across the cafeteria chair like someone who had just watched his dreams get set on fire and mailed back to him in an envelope labeled "No refunds." One leg draped over the side. His head hung off the backrest. His lunch tray sat untouched on the table. He stared upside down at the ceiling, contemplating Plan D. Which was code for go back to pondering how to make Plan B work. The cafeteria chatter hummed around him, cutlery scraping, students arguing about lunch sets, and someone loudly advertising their self-designed protein bar. But his classmates found him first. Kimura slid into the seat across from him, tray clattering. Why do you look like that? Hana blinked at him. Are you dying? She proceeded to poke Yuta's limp arm with a fork. Blink twice if you're dying. Just having a midlife crisis. Don't mind me. Yuta responded apathetically. Kimura cocked his head. All right then. So, why were you called to the design lab this morning? Yuta slowly lifted one eye, voice flat, 2 words, support gear. Hana tilted her head. Failed, huh? Yuta exhaled. Yep. He proceeded to reveal the ins and outs of the matter. Tanaka leaned back, a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. Man, I mean, the fact that the principal smiled while crushing your dreams, impressive, in a soul-crushing sort of way. Never stood a chance, Hana added. Rest in peace, Kimura concluded. Yuta didn't respond. Kimura tried again. So, what now? You gonna improvise or just sulk? Both, Yuta muttered, tone deadpan. Hana snorted. You always make it sound so heroic. Like, tragic but classy. Yuta finally cracked one eye open. You all know exactly what you sound like, right? Kimura shrugged. We're trying to help. Helpful is debatable. They all chuckled quietly, the tone light but laced with teasing. Well, you'll probably find a way around it. I don't know. This seems like a dead end. Kimura thought differently. Don't listen to this idiot. Hana snorted. You notice details when we don't. I'm sure you'll think of something. Tanaka gestured at the tray. Maybe eat something. Might help you think clearer. Hard to see solutions when you're starving. Right, Tanaka nodded. Clear mind, clear vision. Kimura added, everything's easier when you can see it properly. Hana hummed. Exactly. Sometimes the trick is just looking at it from the right angle. Yuta stared at them. The three of them kept talking, arguing about which angle was the right angle to look at things from. But Yuta wasn't listening anymore. Because something inside him clicked. A slow, creeping horror dawned across his face. He sat up, very slowly, very stiffly, like a corpse rising from a coffin. No, he whispered. Kimura blinked. You good? No, Yuta said again, voice hollow. I'm not good. He dragged a hand down his face. Then another realization hit him even harder, and he choked out, I'm an idiot. His friends shared a look. Like, normal idiot? Tanaka asked. Or the rare kind? The catastrophic kind, Yuta whispered. He slumped forward, placing both hands over his eyes. Because the truth was now undeniable, he had spent 3 days. 3 full days. Trying to recreate jutsu, blind. Without visual analysis. Without chakra tracking. Without energy pattern mapping. Without the one tool engineered specifically to copy, analyze, break down, and reconstruct complex techniques. The one tool sitting inside his skull. The Sharingan. He had done all of this while completely ignoring the literal ocular cheat code. He stared down at the table in defeated silence. I am genuinely, irreparably stupid. Tonka pushed up his glasses. That's a bit much. Shush. This is his eureka moment, Kimura gestured dramatically. Don't ruin it. Yuta suddenly stood up. Hana blinked. Where are you going? Gotta take care of something, Yuta said, grabbing his tray. Tanaka raised a brow. What, secret girlfriend? Yeah, her name's Responsibility. He uttered while picking up his tray, sounds toxic. Very. You two gonna break up? Yuta paused. Hopefully. Then he dashed out of the cafeteria. His friends watched him go. So what do you think he's doing? Hana said. No idea. You? Kimura agreed. Maybe he'll go to a pawn shop or something. You can't bring external equipment at all. Maybe he has an idea to convince the principal. Tanaka nodded. Place your bets. Is it smart reckless or dumb reckless? Hana didn't hesitate. Dumb. Kimura shrugged. To be fair, at least he realized it before the sports festival and not during it. Yeah, Hana sighed. Small miracles. UA hallway, afternoon. Yuta dumped his tray, tightened his bag straps, and broke into a power walk like a man possessed. Sharingan. I forgot the Sharingan. I actually forgot the Sharingan. I should be expelled just for stupidity. His friend's words still echoed in his head. Clear mind, clear vision. Everything's easier when you can see it properly. Sometimes the trick is just looking at it from the right angle. He'd spent 3 days trying to recreate jutsu techniques, blind. Without the one tool literally designed to copy, analyze, and reconstruct complex techniques. The Sharingan. I'm an idiot. A complete, categorical idiot. He turned the corner sharply, mind racing. If I activate the Sharingan while performing hand seals, I can see exactly how my chakra flows. Map the pathways. Memorize the sequence. Then recreate it without, wham. He collided with something, someone, head-on. The impact wasn't hard, but it was sudden enough that both parties stumbled. Ow! A high-pitched yelp. Yuta blinked, steadying himself. A floating uniform staggered backward, sleeves flailing. His stomach dropped. "Oh no, Toru!" Two voices called out simultaneously. Mina Ashido and Hanta Siro rushed forward from a few steps behind. "You okay?" Mina asked, steadying the invisible girl by the shoulder. Yeah, I'm fine," Toru's sleeves waved dismissively. She paused. Slowly, her gloves turned toward Yuta. There was a beat of silence. Then, "You again?" Yuta's face went pale. Mina blinked. "Wait, this is the guy." Siro looked between them. "The tray guy? And the book guy?" Toru's sleeves jabbed accusingly at Yuta. "This is the third time." I didn't mean to," Yuta stammered, taking a step back. "You never mean to." Toru shrieked. "But it keeps happening." Mina covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Siro just looked impressed. "Man, what are the odds?" "Too high." Toru snapped. "The odds are too high." Yuta raised his hands defensively. "I swear, this time was an accident. I wasn't looking, you're never looking." Toru's voice hit a pitch that could shatter glass. "Do you just walk around with your eyes closed?" No. I was thinking. About what? New ways to terrorize me? Mina finally lost it and snorted. Siro grinned. "Toru, come on, he probably didn't even know you were there. That's the problem." Toru gestured wildly. "I'm invisible. I get it. But this guy has a radar for hitting me." Yuta opened his mouth to apologize, but Toru wasn't done. First, a tray to the face. Then, a book to the head. Now, a full-body collision. What's next? A desk? A piano? A meteorite? "Toru," Mina tried. "No. I'm cursed. This school is cursed." "He's cursed." Yuta took another step back. Abort. Abort mission. Tactical retreat. Now. "I'm really sorry," he started. "Sorry doesn't fix my spine." "Your spine is fine, you don't know that." Siro leaned toward Mina. "Should we stop her?" Mina shrugged. "Honestly? Let her get it out. She's been holding this in for days." Toru puffed up, sleeves trembling with righteous fury. "I swear, this time, I'm actually going to." But before she could detonate verbally, Bakugo's voice cracked through the hallway like a grenade. All three of them, Mina, Siro, and Toru, jerked around. Bakugo stalked toward them with the expression of a man who had been inconvenienced by the very concept of walking. "What the hell are you extras standing here for?" Siro grinned. Toru got hit again. She was about to give him a piece of her mind. Bakugo stopped. Squinted. Glared at empty air. "Do you idiots take me for a fool?" He snapped. "I don't see anyone." Three simultaneous, huh? Toru, Mina, and Siro spun back around, only to find the spot where Yuta had been standing, completely empty. Toru froze. Her gloves twitched. He ran. Mina blinked. He ran. Siro nodded sagely. He absolutely ran. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Toru erupted. He ran. He ran. After hit number 3. Her sleeves slapped against her sides in outrage. He has the nerve to hit me and then flee the scene. What is he, a jet boot hero? Bakugo stared at them like they'd all collectively lost their minds. Whatever. Don't involve me in your dumb soap opera. He stomped off, muttering. Mina put a hand over her mouth. Should we go after him? Shiro stretched lazily. Nah. If he's running, he's motivated. Toru vibrated with indignation. I'm motivated. Motivated to commit violence. Mina patted her shoulder. Let it go, Toru. He didn't mean it. He never means it. That's the issue. Accidents shouldn't be a daily occurrence. She pointed in the direction Yuta fled. Mark my words. Next time, I'm wearing a helmet. UA Class 1A, free period. Toru Hagakure was furious. Not annoyed. Not irritated. Not mildly inconvenienced. Furious. And she made absolutely sure the entire class knew it. I mean it, 3 times. Her gloves slapped against her desk. 3 times. How is that even statistically possible? Mina leaned over her desk, chin in her hands, fully entertained. I mean, it is. That's not an excuse. Toru wailed. Shiro stretched in his seat. Honestly, at this point, you two have gravitational pull. Cosmic inevitability. Stop saying that. Kirishima raised a hand gently. Toru, are you okay? I'm being targeted. Dark shadow peeked from Tokoyami's shoulder. Your suffering sustains me. You're not helping. The class burst into laughter. Toru slumped over dramatically. I'm going to fail the sports festival because my bones will be powdered by lunchtime mishaps. Mina took a thoughtful sip of her drink. So, anyone have any ideas why this is happening? Her gaze was focused on the girls. No idea. Beats me, ribbit. Not a clue. Mina sighed. Then he looked at Uraraka, who seemed to be in thought. Uraraka, what do you think? Uraraka blinked, not expecting to be dragged into this. Huh? Me? The room quieted a little, eager for some input from the resident nice girl. Uraraka tapped her chin innocently. Well, I read something in a magazine once. 17 heads leaned in. That sometimes when a boy likes a girl, he'll look for excuses to get closer. You know, little interactions. Even bumps or clumsy moments. It's a thing. The classroom froze. Sound left the universe. Even Kaminari's brain static died out. Then, PFFT, ha 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 ha, what? Kaminari exploded into laughter. Like? Toru? Mineta screamed, horrified. WHY? Hey! Toru snapped. Ojiro chuckled. No offense, but, how can someone like someone they can't see? The classroom collectively inhaled. Toru slowly turned her head. Her gloves twitched. Explain, she said flatly. Ojiro's tail froze mid-swing. I didn't mean it like that, oh really? Toru folded her arms. So you're saying I'm unlovable because I'm invisible? And no. I'm saying it's hard to, visually, evaluate, things. Dig yourself out, Ojiro, Kaminari whispered. Dig fast. You're not helping. Ojiro sputtered. I didn't mean, Toru, please. Before Toru could bury him alive with words, Midoriya frantically waved both arms. Anyway. Uraraka's theory isn't necessarily applicable. There's no concrete evidence that Yuta-san has displayed typical attraction behaviors, so we shouldn't jump to conclusions. Bless him. The tension dissolved. Thank you, Midoriya, Ojiro mouthed weakly. Toru huffed. Still offended. Mina giggled. So, Toru, now that we've all been emotionally traumatized, the real question is. She leaned in. Do you think he likes you? Absolutely not. Toru snapped instantly. He doesn't even see me. Literally. That's the entire issue. Zero shrugged. I'm more interested in how he disappeared when we turned around because of Bakugo. Bakugo slammed his desk. Are you saying this is my fault? Technically, Zero said, your voice triggered the turn. You want to die? See? Look at that reaction time, Zero whispered to Mina. Yuta could never. Mina giggled. Todoroki, from his seat, finally spoke. Teleportation, he mused softly. Everyone blinked. Todoroki nodded to himself. If he vanished instantly without sound, maybe. Then he shrugged. Or maybe he ran. And just as quickly as interest arrived, Todoroki stopped caring. Maybe we should go see him. What do you think? No way. Class resumed its chatter. The free period wound down, and soon Aizawa called them for practical lessons. Life moved on. At least for them. Training Field C. Later that day. Yuta crouched in a quiet corner of the training field, hood up, eyes narrowed. He activated his Sharingan. Bright red Tomo spun to life. In his notebook lay the fruits of yesterday's frantic efforts, rough chakra flow sketches, failed ratios, notes like, this is wrong. Why is this wrong? And now underlined multiple times, use. The Sharingan. You. Clown. He reviewed the hand seals. He tried again. Chakra surged. It fizzled. He adjusted the ratio. It sputtered. He corrected the molding. It twisted the wrong way. He corrected that correction. It backfired into his shoulder. Ow. He kept going. He used the Sharingan to trace every microflow through his chakra network. He scribbled new ratios. New formulas. New diagrams. By sunset, his notes had evolved from simple sketches to fully mapped anatomical chakra channels, branching lines for tenketsu. Flow arrows. Ratios labeled with decimals. Attempts at conversion theory. It looked like a mad scientist's dissertation. He went home afterward, mentally broken, fingers cramped, eyes throbbing, and pushed open the front door. The smell of stew hit him first. Then his mom's voice floated from the kitchen, sharp as ever. Wash your hands before you touch anything. He blinked. I just walked in. That counts as touching things. Right. Of course it did. Eri peeked from behind the hallway corner, clutching a pencil and a half-finished homework sheet. Welcome back, she said quietly. The tension in his shoulders eased a little. Hey. You doing okay? She nodded. Your mom helped me with math. I don't like math. There was silence for a moment. Eventually, Yuta's lips twitched upward into a smile. Welcome to the Force, kid. From the kitchen, I heard that. He made a face at Eri. The girl just lowered her head. Dinner was already set aside for him, a plate covered with foil, like always. She didn't say she was worried. She didn't have to. It was built into the plate. He ate quietly while Eri drew beside him, legs kicking under the chair. His mom moved around the kitchen with the familiar efficiency of someone who both cared deeply and refused to admit it out loud. No big talks. No lectures. Just life continuing around him. He went to bed afterward, slept, woke up, and resumed during breaks the next day. Hand seals. Sharingan. Correction. Ratio adjustment. Flow refinement. Hours passed. Attempts piled up. Dozens. Maybe 100. And eventually, he ran out of chakra. Oh come on. Training Field C, next afternoon. Yuta exhaled slowly. Sharingan active. Hands steady. He ran through the seals again. His chakra aligned. flowed, condensed, shifted into an earth-nature blend he had never felt before. For the first time, it stabilized. His eyes widened. This is it. He slammed his palm onto the ground. Earth-style, flowing mud wall. A rumble. The ground shuddered. And a thick, sturdy, muddy earth wall erupted upward, solid and stable, towering over him. Silence. Wind rustled the grass. Yuta blinked up at the wall. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. And then, yes. His voice cracked into the sky as he punched the air. I did it. Finally, finally. He grabbed his notebook, holding it up like a sacred artifact. You hear that? I'm not an idiot anymore. A passing 1B student stared. Yuta didn't care. For the first time since arriving at UA. Since fighting Overhaul, since being grounded, since smashing Toru with school equipment, he had made actual progress. Real jutsu. The first of many. The fact that it was an earth-style jutsu not of his natural affinity had been surprising. He had tried the same 100-plus sequences with the first 4 nature transformations that came to mind. Luckily, he grinned up at the wall. Okay. That's one. He tightened his fists. Let's see what else I can do. Yuta stepped back from the wall, still buzzing with adrenaline. His chakra reserves didn't feel great, but he had just performed an earth-style jutsu outside his natural affinity. He needed, to ride that momentum. Alright, next. He flipped through his notes, the messy pages filled with half-successful attempts at other ninjutsu. One heading was circled, underlined, and aggressively stabbed with pen marks. Shadow clone? Probably impossible. Try anyway. Yuta inhaled. Okay. One crazy idea per day can't hurt. He stood in the clearing again, hands forming the familiar seal. He gathered chakra, it wobbled. He stabilized it. Then he tried to split it. It cracked like glass. Too heavy, he muttered. Too much chakra at once. Okay. Smaller ratio. He adjusted, compressing it tighter in his core. Deep breath. Seal. Chakra surged, split, twisted, poof. Smoke burst around him. When it cleared, Yuta froze. Standing a few feet away, looking equally horrified and equally like him, was him. Yuta said. The clone echoed. They stared for 3 long, silent seconds. Then, in perfect synchronization, Yuta blinked rapidly, pointing at the clone. I actually pulled it off. The clone pointed back. Did we actually pull it off? They both turned in the same direction, nodding in disbelief. This is insane, Yuta whispered, eyes widening in awe. The clone took a hesitant step forward, and immediately tripped. Face first. Into the dirt. Yuta flinched. Oof, that looked like it hurt. The clone's voice rose from the ground. I felt that. Why did I feel that? Yuta rubbed his temples. Because we're doing this wrong. The clone rolled onto its back. Okay. New rule. Don't make me walk yet. Noted. They sat in awkward silence for a beat. So, what now? The clone asked. Yuta sighed. Honestly? I have absolutely no idea. UA. Sports Festival grounds, morning. The roar of the crowd was deafening. Not loud, deafening. Tens of thousands of people packed into the stadium, cheering with the kind of raw excitement that made the air vibrate. Flags waved. Homemade banners bobbed. News drones buzzed overhead, swooping between camera cranes and suspended projectors. Agencies filled the higher seats, pro heroes in uniform scanning the field with sharp, evaluating eyes. It was nothing like the calm of the classroom or the quiet chaos of the training grounds. The stadium rose like a coliseum, packed wall-to-wall with spectators who traveled from across Japan just to witness this. This wasn't just a school event. This was national television. Akutami apartment, living room. Aiko sat in her wheelchair, positioned directly in front of the TV. Eri sat cross-legged on the floor beside her, clutching her rabbit plush, eyes wide. The screen showed the massive stadium, crowds filing in, and commentators hyping up the event with practiced enthusiasm. "You nervous?" Aiko asked. Eri nodded slowly. "Me too," Aiko admitted. "But he'll be fine." "What if he gets hurt?" Aiko's expression softened. "Then he'll get back up. That's what he does." Eri hugged the plush tighter. On screen, the camera panned across the stadium, capturing the sheer scale of the event. "Good morning, UA Sports Festival." President Mick's voice exploded through the speakers. Eri didn't blink. Aiko smiled and placed a hand on Eri's head. "Don't worry. I'm sure he'll be fine." A sudden electric guitar riff blasted through the TV. In the UA arena. President Mick's voice followed, soaring through the air like a shockwave. "Good morning, UA." The stadium erupted. The front screens flared with vibrant colors. "And welcome, one and all, to the annual UA High Sports Festival." That's right, folks. It's that time of year again. The event that separates the strong from the weak. The brave from the boring. The heroes from the, not heroes yet. Laughter rippled through the stands. We've got pro heroes in the house. Agencies scouting for the next big thing. And of course, millions watching at home. As the crowd screamed back in response, the camera panned to the commentary booth, where a heavily bandaged Aizawa sat slumped in his chair like someone who had been resurrected purely out of obligation. Bandages covered half his face, and his eyes were visible only because President Mike had physically propped them open for the shot. President Mike leaned in with a grin. "And joining me on commentary, freshly patched up and held together with more gauze than dignity, the mummy man himself. Shota Aizawa." Aizawa stared flatly at the camera. "I was forced. Ignore him, folks. He's just shy." Aizawa turned his head toward the field. "Just start the ceremony." "With pleasure." A burst of fireworks exploded over the stadium. The opening theme blasted through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, students, spectators, heroes and hopefuls, please put your hands together for the first-year hero course." The gates slid open. Meanwhile, in the Class 1D waiting area, the concrete hallway hummed with vibrations from the crowd above. General Studies students stood in their section, matching tracksuits and restless energy. Some stretched. Others psyched themselves up. A few already looked like they regretted coming. Yuta leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets, eyes half-lidded. Around him, his classmates were talking. "This is it. We're actually here. Oh God, is anyone else nervous?" He could taste the anticipation in the air. A loudspeaker crackled overhead. "All first-year participants, prepare to enter the arena. Hero course, please move to your designated starting positions." Movement rippled through the hall. Kimura exhaled. "Here we go." Anna stretched her arms. "Let's not embarrass ourselves." Tanaka adjusted his glasses. "Speak for yourself." Yuta straightened, rolling his shoulders. The massive steel doors began to open, bright sunlight spilling into the tunnel. Everyone tensed. "This is it." The sound came first. A wall of noise. Cheering, clapping, fireworks bursting overhead, slammed into him the moment they stepped out. The stadium was a sea of color, faces blurring together in a massive mosaic of excitement. Hundreds of cameras swiveled toward them. Yuta squinted against the sun. Next up, General Studies C, D, and E. Next. Support Course F, G, and H. Lastly. Business Course I, J, and K. The Hero Course walked confidently at the front. Midoriya, Bakugo, Todoroki. General Studies followed behind. Support Course after that. The Business Course brought up the rear. Once everyone gathered, Midnight strutted onto the platform, microphone raised. Welcome, everyone, to the UA First Year Sports Festival. The stadium erupted. Quiet, everyone. Midnight declared. Representing the students, we have Katsuki Bakugo, from Class 1A for the student pledge. From here, Yuta could see Class 1A's panicked reactions as Bakugo marched forward with all the grace of a lit fuse. The crowd quieted into a tense silence. Camera zoomed in. He grabbed the mic, leaned forward, and said, "I pledge to win." Silence. Then a beat. That's it. The stadium erupted into chaos. Half the crowd booed. The other half laughed. Midnight blinked. Bakugo, that's not exactly, I said what I said. He turned and walked off the stage without waiting for permission. At least become a soft, bouncy step to jump off. The combined classes had fallen into outrage. Ida shot forward in the Class 1A section, arms chopping violently. Bakugo. That was highly inappropriate. You were supposed to represent. Shut up, Four Eyes. Upstairs, Aizawa sighed into his scarf. Why do I even bother? Present Mick's voice crackled over the speakers, barely containing his laughter. Well. That was something. Bold strategy from the Class 1A representative. Let's see if he can back it up. In the General Studies section, Kimura muttered. Did he just declare war on everyone? Pretty much, Hana said flatly. Tanaka adjusted his glasses. Tactically inadvisable. He's made himself a target. Yuta didn't react. To say he had expected anything less would be an understatement. Midnight cleared her throat, regaining control of the stage. Right. Well then. Enough pledging and posturing. Let's get to what you're all here for, the first round. The massive screens around the stadium lit up, displaying a rotating roulette of possible events. The crowd leaned forward. The first game is what you'd call a qualifier. Every year, many drink their tears here. The wheel spun. Spun. Stopped. The first round is obstacle race. This. All 11 classes will participate in this race. The course will be the circumference of this stadium. 4 kilometers. Our school's selling point is freedom. Which means. She licked her lips sadistically. As long as you stay within the course, it doesn't matter what you do. Now, take your places, everyone. Students began moving toward the starting gate in a steady current, with the Hero course taking the lead, and Support and General Studies folding into the mass behind them. The large metal shutters along the stadium wall opened with a heavy clank, revealing a wide tunnel that led out toward the perimeter track. You've heard it, kids. Anything goes. Run, fight, evade, outmaneuver. Just make it to the finish. If you get knocked off the track, WLP. Better luck next year. 4 kilometers, seriously? What kind of obstacles? Hey, don't get crushed in the first 5 seconds. It seemed the nervous energy had peaked. As the crowd noise swelled, Yuta adjusted his footing at the starting line, and felt someone staring at him. Not the cameras. Someone closer. His eyes drifted sideways. And there she was. Toru Hagakure. Class 1A gloves and boots are visible. The faint shimmer of light bending around an invisible face angled directly toward him. For one perfect, painful second, they locked eyes. Or, eye area. Her gloves twitched in surprise. Yuta immediately snapped his gaze forward like he hadn't seen anything. Nope. Nope. Not doing that. Focus. 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 She didn't see me. Across the divider, Toru leaned toward her classmates. Hey, it's him. Her voice pitched up in irritation. Huh? What's up, Toru? Someone beside her asked. The jerk, that's what. He's right there. Hey, don't you ignore me. Before she could finish, Midnight's voice exploded over the speakers. Everyone, on your mark. Toru jolted, her protest cutting off mid-sentence. Behind Yuta, Hana whispered with barely concealed nervousness. Yuta, you nervous? He shook his head once. Not really. What do you think your chances are? Yuta rolled his shoulders. High enough. Get set. 3 green lights came up. The first went dark, then the second. Until finally. The last one died. Go. Midnight ordered. The gate exploded open. The race began with a thunderous roar as hundreds of students surged into the narrow pathway. The moment they did, Yuta disappeared. Alright, mummy man. Present Mike said, leaning into his mic, don't call me that. The flat voice replied. Mike ignored him. The race is off. The students are going strong. What's the first thing to pay attention to? Aizawa didn't look away from the monitors. The door. The door? Mike repeated. That's it? It's narrow. Below, chaos erupted immediately. The tunnel was packed shoulder to shoulder. Students jostled, shoved, and scrambled for position. Quirks flared in desperate bursts, flames, hardening skin, someone's hair whipping wildly. Damn it, move. I can't, there's no room. Stop pushing. Who designed this dash? Near the front, Todoroki raised his right hand. Ice exploded outward in a massive wave, coating the walls, the floor, and dozens of students in frozen crystal. The entire tunnel crystallized in seconds. Students screamed. Some were caught mid-step, frozen solid. Others slipped and crashed into the walls. A few managed to break free, smashing through the ice with hardened fists or heat-based quirks. Todoroki ran forward calmly, unbothered, already pulling ahead. Behind him, Bakugo blasted through the ice with raw explosions, propelling himself forward. Yaoyorozu created a staff and vaulted over the frozen students. Ida's engines roared to life, skating across the ice with practiced precision. Nice move by Todoroki. Present Mike roared. Ice everywhere. Half the field's frozen solid. The first sifting. Aizawa thought. However, his thoughts had barely formed when they were proven right. Bakugo's figure blasted out of the path. Get back here, you half-and-half bastard. Naive Todoroki. Yaoyorozu yelled. It's going to take far more than that to trap us. The smarter ones, Kaminari, Jiro, and Kirishima, jumped or avoided it by inches. Support course kids scrambled and clung to the walls. General studies panicked outright. He can do that? I see. More outside class 1A managed to escape the ice than I anticipated. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. He's not trying to win yet. He's thinning the herd. The students who broke through the ice emerged into open air, and immediately stopped. Very surprised when a shadow fell over them. Bang! A massive metal limb slammed into the ground. Wait, are those the entrance exam robots? Standing before them, towering and mechanical, were the faux villains from the entrance exam. 0-pointers. Dozens of them. Their red sensors locked onto the incoming students. You're kidding me, those things again? Those who had taken the entrance exams immediately recognized it. Present Mike cackled as the camera zoomed in. And here we are, folks. The first obstacle, the exam bot gauntlet. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. So, this is what they used in the general entrance exams, huh? Present Mike gestured dramatically. Robo Inferno. Damn it. Where do they even get the money for these things? You're thinking about money? How are we going to get past them? There's more than a dozen. So mummy man. Mike grinned from ear to ear. What do you think? It'll be a challenge for some. Aizawa nodded. For others. Not so much. Huh. Interesting. Well, let's just wait and see if you're. Present Mick's voice suddenly ceased to exist. Hold on, what? The feed cut from the robots to a different camera, one positioned farther along the course. Then farther. Then farther. Finally it locked onto a single figure sprinting along the outer track, already well beyond the robot zone. A single boy. Way out in front. The stadium erupted into chaos. Present Mike nearly fell out of his seat. How did he get past the bot zone? The race just started. The camera zoomed in. Red hair. General Studies tracksuit. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. Who the hell is that guy? On the field, Todoroki froze mid-stride. What? Bakugo whipped his head toward the giant screens, fury crackling. Huh? Who the hell? In the teachers section, everyone was stunned. What the? I don't believe it. Present Mick's voice echoed across the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have an unexpected anomaly. Currently in first place is not someone from the hero course, but someone from General Studies? Can someone tell me what in the heavens happened? You're the commentator, Mike. Eraserhead uttered blandly. Check the notes. Oh. Right. He frantically scrolled through the participant roster on his tablet. Let's see, red hair. General Studies. Ah. Got it. He grabbed the mic. Ladies and gentlemen. The current leader is Yuta Akutami from General Studies Class 1D. Tech support is working on replays to see just how this happened. It'll be in a while though once the obstacle course is over. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Mina vaulted over a frozen student, landing in a roll. Wait, Yuta? Toru's gloves clenched mid-swing as she dodged falling debris. That guy? Uraraka touched a chunk of rubble, making it float, then launched herself forward. She blinked at the announcement. Isn't that? Azui leapt from wall to wall with her tongue. Rib bit? Zero swung overhead on his tape, grinning. No way. That guy? Sick. The announcement carried a greater effect on those from General Studies. Is that, Yuta? Tanaka sputtered, adjusting his glasses. It can't be the same guy, right? He turned. Around him, Yuta was nowhere to be found. Hold on. He was right next to us. Wait, how did he skip the entire first obstacle? It's been like 30 seconds. The sports festival really isn't something to underestimate. Todoroki thought in the robot zone. He had no idea who was being mentioned, but the fact that they were from General Studies of all places said enough. At that moment, a robot's massive hand descended toward him. He didn't hesitate. His right arm swung upward. Crack. A pillar of ice exploded from the ground, encasing the machine in seconds, arms, legs, torso, head. The entire robot froze solid. I'll have to take this seriously. Todoroki propelled himself forward on an ice path, skating between the robot's legs. And leave no room for anyone else. His fingers twitched. The frozen robot shattered behind him, collapsing into the path and blocking it completely. Next to pass. Shoto Todoroki from Class 1A. He freezes a zero-pointer and uses it to block the path. Present Mike roared. Clever. Ruthless. That's the #1 recommendation student for you. Aizawa grunted. He's buying himself time. Someone's already ahead of him. By trapping everyone else. Brilliant. Crash. The dust caused by the robot's fall finally dissipated. Damn it. He blocked the path. Hey. That didn't fall on anyone, did it? The murmurs spread. Just then, a figure burst through the ice and debris, red skin hardened like stone. Damn you, Todoroki. Kirishima roared. You almost buried me alive. Another explosion of rubble. That Class 1A. Tetsu emerged, steel body gleaming. Is really full of bastards. Hey. Both looked at each other. Then they gritted their teeth and ran forward. That's offensive. Aren't you? Your friend just sealed the path and nearly killed me to get first place. He's not even in first place. I know, right? A voice interrupted from above. Zero swung overhead on his tape, grinning. Always knew something was up with that guy. He's got quite the head start. Then, boom. Bakugo blasted past all of them, explosions roaring. TCH, like hell I'm letting some nobody get ahead of me. He shot forward so violently that 2 nearby students screamed. And here comes the cavalry. Present Mike gestured wildly. Kirishima. Tetsu. Zero. Bakugo. All charging through. More students vaulted over the robots, Yaoyorozu with a cannon, Tokoyami riding Dark Shadow, and Ida skating on ice. Most of the front-runners are from Class 1A. Mike continued. But don't count out the other courses yet. In the teachers section, Vlad King crossed his arms. As expected. Most who passed are from Class 1A. All Might frowned, eyes on the screen. The other courses aren't bad either. His gaze settled on the figure far ahead. Yuta. Interesting. First place has some amazing speed. He's quickly approaching the second obstacle. The big fall. Present Mike leaned into the mic, but it seems Todoroki is catching up. He'll have to keep his pace if he doesn't want to get overrun. Huh. Yuta, who was approaching the second obstacle, turned back to see Todoroki blasting towards him on an ice path. Oh. Ahead, the track opened into a wide gorge. Thin cables stretched across the gap, dozens of them, swaying slightly in the wind. The fall. Students were supposed to cross carefully, balancing on the tightropes. The hero course would clear this. Most from general studies and support would end their journeys here. Time to pull some ninja bullshit. Yuta hit the edge and kept running. His feet landed on the first cable. Chakra condensed under his soles, sticking him to the thin line like glue. Then, he ran. Sprinting across with perfect balance, like the tightrope was solid ground. Present Mick's jaw dropped. He's running across the tightropes. Like they're a sidewalk. Aizawa leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You don't see that every day. Of course not. This is prime circus material. Todoroki skated to the edge of the gorge. He stopped. Stared. Yuta was already halfway across, feet moving in rapid, precise steps, body perfectly balanced. Todoroki's expression hardened. He just ran across. Ice crackled under his feet. He raised his right hand and created a small ice bridge, freezing the air itself into a solid path. Then he shot forward. Todoroki creates an ice bridge. He's not letting Yuta out of his sight. Present Mick's voice cracked with excitement. This is getting good, folks. First place versus the recommended student. Who's gonna reach the third obstacle first? The answer was obvious. Gliding over the earth and tightropes like a circus performer speedrunning a finale act, his speed didn't reduce one bit. However, Todoroki spared no expense to keep up with him. Did he do this in canon? Turning, he got a glimpse of the boy rushing after him through ice bridges. Such constructs would surely give the other students an advantage, but he didn't even bother to collapse them. However, Todoroki couldn't care less right now. He could have afforded to spare his energy if he were in first place and use a less conspicuous way to pass the obstacles, but Yuta's current pace didn't allow such luxuries. With chakra, his running speed was beyond Olympic without using body flicker. He's not slowing down. Only halfway through the fall, the sound of explosions caused him to look up. "Get back here, you bastards! You're not getting ahead of me! Bakugo!" The boy screamed through the air, catching up quickly. Todoroki's face crumpled. "If I'm gonna win this, I can't afford to hold back." Ice blossomed under his legs, propelling him forward at a rapid pace. He wasn't trying to conserve stamina any longer. TCH. Boom! A blast of astounding proportions catapulted Bakugo far forward. His smoking arm spasmed. A pain he ignored in place for a wide grin. The lead pack is far ahead. But behind them, others are catching up. They haven't announced how many will make it through, which makes it all the more tense. You can't relax for a moment. Those who made it to UA all had some bright spots no matter how unremarkable. Most in general studies were only there because UA's hero course was too competitive. Others had abilities that weren't in line with the previous entrance exams. Those with transformations clawed, jumped, or flew their way over the gorge. Those with gear shot way past it. Damn! This is awesome. I know, right? The current top 3 race is so thrilling. How the hell is first place from general studies? Don't think it'll last long though. Do you know who the second place's father is? The flame hero Endeavor. Endeavor's bloodline? No wonder he's so good. He's got such a sick quirk. In the Akutami home, Eri watched with rapt attention before turning to Aiko. Is he winning? Huh? Aiko was woken up from her absent-minded state. I guess. Her tone carried uncertainty. Though Yuta had explained his battle with Overhaul, this was the first time seeing it firsthand. Ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten to our final obstacle. Yuta stopped at the entrance to the final challenge. What do we have here? Is a minefield. It's set up so you can tell where the mines are if you look carefully. Present Mike stopped. Oh come on. On screen, everyone saw the boy from General Studies pause for a moment before resuming his run. Not walk. Run. His head was lowered, his legs moved at blistering speeds, and nothing happened whenever he stepped. There were no explosions, no blasts. I'm convinced. This boy's legs come installed with GPS. I see. This is an obstacle that puts those in the lead at a disadvantage. Todoroki, on the other hand, just arrived at the entrance, only to see Yuta dozens of meters away. But he certainly doesn't see it that way. Out of my way. The voice was followed by an explosive bang as Bakugo shot past Todoroki. Damn it. He created a wide ice path and ran on it. Second place has been overtaken and is now in third. The race is at the hottest stage and... Oh. Yuta's out of the minefield. The kid's heading straight for the finish, while Todoroki and Bakugo are struggling to keep up. These three are amazing. I wonder what they feed them. At home, Eri turned to look at Aiko. Aiko was stunned. Don't look at me. Yuta cleared the final strip of dirt, and the finish line loomed. The roar of the stadium hit him like a physical force. He's coming in fast. Ladies and gentlemen, Yuta Akutami from General Studies is about to, boom. A deafening explosion shook the ground. Bakugo. Out of my way, you extras. A massive blast rocketed him across the minefield, detonating several mines in chain reactions. Dust blasted upward in thick clouds. Todoroki skated across the remaining mines with a rapidly freezing path, trailing behind the explosion cloud. Don't think. Bakugo snarled midair, eyes locked on Yuta's back. He pointed one palm forward. You're winning that easy. Bakugo blasted himself forward, accelerating like a missile. Todoroki gritted his teeth, ice growing violently beneath him. He's pushing harder than before. Aizawa narrowed his eyes at the screen. Akutami hasn't looked back once. Courage. Present Mike yelled. Or tunnel vision, Aizawa muttered. The crowd rose to their feet as the three converged, Yuta sprinting. Bakugo exploding. Todoroki ice skating like a demon. This is it. The final sprint. A three-way clash, who's gonna take first place? And the winner is, a blur cut through the dust cloud, roaring like a missile. Boom! A blistering comet of sparks and smoke tore past the tunnel entrance, slammed across the finish line, and plowed straight into the dirt. Katsuki Bakugo hit the ground hard enough to gouge a trench several meters long, skidding to a smoking halt. Silence. Present Mike gawked. Katsuki Bakugo? Gasps rippled across the stadium. A half-second later, thump thump thump. Yuta burst out of the tunnel, boots skidding as he killed his momentum. He slowed just past the finish line, easing off a sprint rather than throwing himself into orbit. He turned back toward the field, breathing steadily. Todoroki arrived seconds later, an ice path carrying him until it evaporated into mist at the finish line. He landed silently, eyes trained on Bakugo's ditch. Present Mike finally found his voice. Katsuki Bakugo takes first place at the last possible second. There was a moment of silence. Then, the crowd detonated. No way. A general studies kid lost by that little? I thought he had it, Bakugo pulled a miracle. That was insane. It's too bad though. At his speed, he should have taken first place. The explosion kid came in a few seconds later. Not much to think about. Even Endeavor's son came in third. I know. This kid's quirk should make him quite fast. Even the pros were stunned. There you have it, folks. The three-way clash has finally been decided. First place, Katsuki Bakugo from Hero Course Class 1A. He takes first in the obstacle race. Hardly impressive, Aizawa muttered. As for Yuta Akutami, finishing in a strong second shows just how much potential this young man has. I still can't believe he's in general studies. Aizawa wasn't listening. His eyes narrowed at the screen. In the distance midnight whistled. That kid's legs are terrifying. In the teacher's section, All Might folded his arms and said, impressive, I must say. I know, right? Snipe tilted his hat. Dunno how he pulled that off. But I'll be damned, he earned it. Power Loader nodded. Seems the principal was right after all. This kid's hiding stuff. Can't believe I nearly added support gear to this stuff. Story for another day. The Power Loader waved dismissively. Right. All Might muttered as he looked at the tunnel. By now, the participants were clearing the third obstacle and heading to the finish line. One by one they came through the gates, with dust, dirt and exhaustion all over them. Sigh. Young Midoriya. Midoriya stumbled through the gate, panting heavily. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. He collapsed against the wall, hands on his knees. I didn't make it. The realization hit him like a truck. No first place. No dramatic comeback, not even the top 10. I knew this was going to be hard. But he hadn't even gotten close. Todoroki and Bakugo had finished in the top 3, alongside a third individual from General Studies, leaving everyone else struggling to catch up from the first obstacle. He looked up. The giant screens displayed the current rankings as more students crossed the finish line. His eyes scanned the list. First, Katsuki Bakugo, Class 1A. Second, Yuta Akutami, Class 1D. Third, Shoto Todoroki, Class 1A. Midoriya's gaze lingered on the second-place name. Yuta Akutami. General Studies. He'd seen him before. The cafeteria. But this? This was something else entirely. The entrance exams were based on fighting robots. His quirk must have been unsuitable to pass. Midoriya turned his head and found Yuta standing near the edge of the field, hands in his pockets, breathing steadily. Their eyes met. Awkwardly. Yuta raised a hand. Waved. Midoriya blinked. Then awkwardly waved back. Yuta turned away. Midoriya exhaled. Why didn't I do better? He replayed the race in his mind. It's my fault. I should have been quicker. Smarter. He clenched his fists. Next time. I just hope I make it into the next round. That's odd. Yuta, on the other hand, was doing the same thing. If he remembered right, then Midoriya was supposed to take first place in the obstacle race. Sure, he knew his appearance would change that, but he had expected him to have a thrilling, more noteworthy performance. However, that wasn't the case. Come to think of it, it wasn't strange. Ever since the race, he had been ahead. Todoroki behind him would try his hardest to keep up without any scruples. Aside from the first robot crash, the rest of his actions actually ended up favoring the contestants. Especially the minefield. More students flooded in. Yuta noticed immediately, most of them were staring at him. Like he was an exhibit in a zoo. Whispers spread. That's the General Studies kid? Yeah. Look at the tightrope scene. He just ran across them. Pretty metal if you ask me. The replay screen cycled through highlights, his body flicker at the start, his sprint across the tightropes, and his navigation through the minefield. Over. And over. So that's how he did it. The kid practically skipped ahead of everyone at the starting line. He went past the tunnel and through the robot zone in one fell swoop. Present Mike exclaimed, seeing the replay. Tell me. Is that teleportation I see? No. Eraserhead replied. It's most likely speed-based. His opener was probably just too fast to catch through regular eyes. Though it's weird he never used it again. Aizawa thought. Is it too costly? Or did he just not feel the need to get past the finish line first? Well. That's quite a cool quirk the kid's got there. It's no exaggeration to say he's on the radar as it is. In the teachers section, All Might frowned thoughtfully. Popularity affects being a pro-hero. His gaze shifted to Midoriya in the crowd. But young Midoriya. He sighed internally. He'll need to do better in the next round. Alright. They're coming in one after the other. We'll make a list of results later, but for now, good work, everyone. In the corner of the stadium, Bakugo leaned against the wall, hands on his knees. His arms shook. Not from weakness. From rage. It wasn't a mistake. Damn it. His palms sparked. Damn it. He turned, eyes set on Yuta, who was currently lost in his own thoughts. Guess the training paid off. Dude. A voice. Zero jogged over, grinning. That was awesome. Kirishima followed, equally hyped. Seriously, man. How'd you move that fast? And the tightropes, dude, you ran across like it was nothing. Yuta rubbed the back of his neck. Practice? Practice? Zero laughed. Man, that's not practice. That's insane. Kirishima nodded enthusiastically. You've gotta tell us your training routine sometime. Yuta managed a weak smile. Maybe after, you. A voice cut through. Cold and sharp. Yuta froze. Shiro and Kirishima turned. Bakugo stood behind them, eyes locked on Yuta. Veins bulged across his forehead. Sparks popped from his palms. You. Yuta swallowed. Good race? Bakugo's expression twisted. You think I need your help? Kirishima blinked. Bakugo? What's up, man? Bakugo ignored him. His hands crackled with small explosions. You slowed down. Silence. Yuta's expression didn't change. What? Don't play dumb. Bakugo snarled. You slowed down at the finish line. I saw it. Kirishima stepped forward. Bakugo, calm down, shut up. Bakugo shoved past him, glaring at Yuta. You think you're so noble? Letting me win? Like I'm some charity case? Yuta raised his hands defensively. I didn't, bullshit. Commentator's booth. Present Mike leaned forward. Oh. It looks like Class 1's Bakugo has gotten into an argument with Class 1D's Akutami. What's going on down there? Aizawa's eyes narrowed. Look up. Mike blinked. Huh? Aizawa pointed at the replay screen. The feed showed the final seconds of the race. Yuta sprinting. Bakugo exploding. Todoroki skating. And then, for just a split second, Yuta's stride shortened. His speed dropped. Just enough for Bakugo to blast past. The crowd murmured. Mick's jaw dropped. Wait, did he? Aizawa's expression darkened. He let him win. Back home Eri turned slowly to Aiko. He didn't win. Aiko stared at the screen. No. But he was ahead. I know. Then why? I don't know, Eri. The replay started. Aiko's breath caught. You didn't. Eri blinked up at her. Didn't what? Aiko leaned forward, eyes locked on the screen. The replay looped again. Clearer this time. Aiko exhaled slowly. That idiot. Eri tilted her head. Is he okay? Aiko rubbed her forehead. He's fine. He's just. She trailed off. On screen, Bakugo was shouting at Yuta. Aiko sighed. Going to get himself into trouble. Eri watched quietly. Then whispered, he's really good though. Right? Aiko glanced at her. Eri was staring at the screen with something that might have been awe. Aiko's expression softened. Yeah. He is. She reached over and patted Eri's head gently. But don't tell him I said that. The replay screen looped. Again. And again. The stadium went quiet. Then erupted. He threw it? Why would he do that? Is he stupid? Bakugo's fists clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. You. Yuta lowered his head with a wry smile. Right. Forgot they could do that. You bastard. If it helps, I didn't throw the game for you. I honestly thought it would be Todoroki coming in second, so. I'm gonna murder you. Bakugo lunged forward, Kirishima grabbed him. Bakugo. Stop. Let go. You're gonna get disqualified. I don't give a damn. Bakugo struggled, sparks flying. But Kirishima held firm. Yuta took a step back, hands raised defensively. Okay. So maybe I didn't think this through. He'd expected some backlash, sure. Maybe a few confused looks. Some whispers. Not this. Should have accounted for the replay screens. Another step back. Kirishima was still holding Bakugo, who looked ready to commit actual murder. Well. Better angry classmates than 12 teams trying to rip a headband off my skull. Yuta glanced toward where Todoroki stood, arms crossed, watching the commotion with narrowed eyes. Oh, Bakugo? He'll be too busy fighting off numerous teams looking for 10 million points after this is over. The thought almost made him smile. Almost. Bakugo's snarl snapped him back to reality. When I get my hands on you, alright, alright. Kirishima grunted, struggling to keep his grip. Dude, save it for the next round. Yuta took that as his cue. He turned and walked away. Fast. Not too far away, Mina, Toru, and Azui gathered near the edge of the field. So. That happened. Toru's gloves gestured wildly. I can't believe that guy made second place. The one who keeps hitting you. Rib bit. Yes. That one. Mina snorted. Okay, but real talk, he was actually really good. Toru's sleeves puffed up indignantly. That doesn't erase anything. Trauma doesn't have an expiration date. Azui tilted her head. Do you think he let Bakugo win on purpose? Mina shrugged. Looked like it to me. Toru's gloves clenched. Why would he do that? No. Strategy? Pity? Death wish? Definitely a death wish, Toru said flatly. Bakugo looked like he wanted to vaporize him. Azui nodded. He's probably going to be a target now. Rib bit. Mina's grin widened. This is gonna be fun to watch. In another area. I can't believe he really advanced to the next round. Kimura uttered, watching from a distance. So much for a weak quirk. Out of the 4 of them, only 3 had managed to make it to the finish line. Hana moved forward once she reached the second obstacle and was currently somewhere in the stands. Should we go talk to him? At the question, Tanaka beside him fell silent. He hesitated for a moment, seeing Yuta moving further away, and ultimately shook his head. Probably shouldn't. He's advanced after all. Let's not disturb him. Finishing at the end of the pack, they both knew they had 0 chance of passing. Yeah, you're probably right. We can talk after the festival. Kimura agreed. They both gave the friend they had barely known for a month a look before turning away. Alright, everyone. Gather at the center stage. Midnight's voice boomed across the arena. Hundreds of students shuffled together in a messy semicircle around the stage. Yuta slipped into the back, avoiding Bakugo's line of sight like it was poison gas. Midnight strutted forward with full dominatrix energy. First, we'll display the final rankings. The jumbo screen lit up. 1. Katsuki Bakugo. 2. Yuta Akutami. 3. Shoto Todoroki. 4. Ibara Shiozaki. 32. Izuku Midoriya. 38. Toru Hagakure. 42. Yuga Aoyama. Top 42 advance. Gasps, groans, cheers. Some students slumped in defeat as the bottom ranks were escorted away. Midnight cracked her whip with a flourish. Congratulations, Final 42. The crowd cheered. Now, it's time for our second event. The giant screen changed, a dramatic illustration of All Might grinning heroically while present Mike and 13 dramatically pose around him, with All Might being carried like royalty on the backs of invisible horses. Midnight winked. A cavalry battle. Groans erupted. Kaminari threw his hands in the air. Why? I suck at these. I'm literally built to get kidnapped in this event. Midnight ignored him. As per usual, participants will form groups of 2 to 4. Work with whoever you want. Trust, betrayal, strategy, it's all allowed. Students buzzed, already whispering potential teammates. Midnight flicked her pointer at the screen. However, this cavalry battle comes with a special twist. The screen changed to a points chart. Each student has a point value based on their ranking in the obstacle course. Like the entrance exam. Ojiro muttered. Simple enough, Jiro said. Midnight continued, 42nd place is worth 5 points. 41st is 10 points. And so on, your value increases the higher you placed. People began calculating team values in their heads. Ida nodded firmly. Logical. But the screen flashed gold. The crowd held its breath. Midnight grinned. The student who took first place is worth silence. Students leaned in. 10 million points. The stadium went dead silent. Then, slowly, every single head turned toward Bakugo. The boy froze mid-rage, pupils shrinking to pinpoints. Huh. Then, every head turned again. Toward the far edge. Where Yuta stood. Hands in his pockets. Expression flat. Why are you looking at me? He muttered while shrinking his head. Play ignorant. Play ignorant. However, the crowd wasn't ignorant. Neither were many of the hero course students. Realization dawned. Wait. Hold on. If you beat first place, then, Midnight's grin widened. That's right, students. It's survival of the fittest. As long as you win the 10 million points, you automatically win the game. Whispers erupted instantly. So second place actually dodged the bullet. Does that mean he slowed down on purpose? Wait, did he plan this? Is this why he backed away earlier? Bro read the future or something. It started small. One person. Then another. Then the murmurs spread. How did he even know? Previous sports festivals? If someone could think this much, so could Bakugo. His eyes widened. Yuta's last words echoed in his mind. If it helps, I thought Todoroki would come in second so. Bakugo's jaw clenched. His fists trembled. Smoke curled from his palms. That bastard. Perhaps he wasn't aiming for him. Maybe Todoroki, like he said, however, it didn't change the fact that. Set me up. His head snapped toward Yuta, who was now very carefully not making eye contact. One twitching finger pointed and roared, I'll kill you. Midnight smiled. This is gonna be fun. Bakugo's murderous intentions were successfully thwarted by the combined efforts of Class 1A. Eventually, everyone turned back to Midnight once he finished swearing vengeance. So none of them made it? Yuta glanced around, seeing none of his classmates. Hana didn't make it. Kimura didn't make it. Tanaka didn't make it. Not a single familiar face from 1D in the top 42. He wasn't surprised. A little disappointed, maybe. But not surprised. The hero course alone filled 40 slots. Only 2 openings. Statistically, brutal was an understatement. I had expected them to talk to me, though. His gaze went through the list. The only one who made it from general studies is me. His gaze fell to a number at 34th position. Shinso, huh? For a moment, their eyes met across the field. Shinso stood alone, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Yuta raised his hand slightly, a small acknowledgement. Shinso's eyes narrowed. Then he turned away without a word. Right. Not exactly friends. Yuta exhaled and refocused on the board. Midnight was explaining the rules in detail. 2 to 4 members, pick your teammates. The total points of all members are calculated and written on a headband. Each team had 1 headband, losing yours doesn't automatically disqualify you until the timer runs out. They're already forming alliances. Midnight hadn't finished, but people were already shifting. Class 1A was already clumping together. He scratched his head. Come to think of it, I didn't really think this far ahead. The last few days were occupied with unsuccessful jutsu attempts. Only now did he realize that he hadn't thought of a concrete plan for the sports festival besides just participating. I'm in second place with a strong performance, so I should have some appeal. However, who do I pick to form a team with? It was harder than he thought. Individual performance was important, but a cavalry battle emphasized teamwork. The minimum requirement was 2 people. Hence, unless there was no other choice or the appeal was far too great, people would associate with those they were familiar with. Oddly enough, he was most familiar with Class 1A even though they had barely met. I have a good understanding of their quirks. It's just Todoroki and Bakugo existed. While his performance was impressive, all he had shown was pure speed. Good, but the hero course had 2 classmates with even more appeal than him. If it came to a choice, they would no doubt choose their classmates. Both of them would form good teams with the best of the class. The rest were honestly less appealing to consider and would be more of a burden than an ally in his view. So I'm the one at a disadvantage, huh? He had no classmates and no friends. It wasn't much of a stretch to say that being from general studies, where only 2 people were good enough to get in, was a debuff on its own. Yep. Definitely harder than I. Someone slapped the mic on the podium. Midnight's voice boomed, "You have 15 minutes to pick your teammates. Begin." Students erupted into chaos. "Be on my team." "No, wait, your quirk is useless for carrying. I can serve as the horse." "Uchiha. Let's team up." Meanwhile, at Class 1A, "Team up with me." "No. Team up with me. Come on, Bakugo. Don't you want me on your team?" At the moment, Bakugo was surrounded by several of his teammates pleading to join him. Mina, Siro, Shoji, Sato, and Aoyama. It seemed that having to defend 10 million points wasn't much of a deterrent for partnering up. Bakugo stood motionless in the middle with a stern face. "Hold on. First." He paused. "Tell me your names and quirks again. Come on. How can you not know our names? Do you seriously not pay attention to what goes on around you?" "Humph. Where's the guy with the red hair?" "Red hair? You mean the one from General Studies?" A vein twitched on his forehead, "The other one, you idiot." "Hey. I'm right here." Kirishima walked over. "It's Kirishima. At least try to remember my name." "Whatever." Bakugo uttered nonchalantly. "I need a horse." "You in? You're gonna be the rider, right?" "Hell yeah. You'll need someone strong enough to handle the recoil of your blasts." That's about right." "Not afraid?" "Of what?" 10 million. Kirishima grinned and hardened his hand. "Like hell I am. I'm excited. Nothing's more manly than fending off numerous opponents and standing strong. With my hardening, that can't get any easier." Bakugo smirked in response. "Alright then. You'll do." Elsewhere, Midoriya stood frozen, mind racing. Team. Who do I pick? Someone mobile? Someone defensive? Someone with a long reach? Maybe Midoriya. Wah! He flinched as Uraraka stepped in front of him. "You. Uraraka-san." "Uh-huh." The girl nodded. "Do you want to team up?" Really? Yeah. Yes. Thank you." "Great. So what's the plan?" "Well." Midoriya scratched his head. "We need mobility. And someone who can handle stealing headbands while we move." His eyes scanned the crowd. And landed on Ida. Ida. The tall boy turned, adjusting his glasses. Midoriya? What is it? Would you join our team? Ida blinked. Your team? Yeah. Uraraka chimed in. You, me, and Deku. We just need one more person. Ida was quiet for a moment, expression thoughtful. What role would I play? Mobility, Midoriya said quickly. You'd be our main propulsion. With your speed and Uraraka's zero gravity, we'd be one of the fastest teams on the field. Ida's expression shifted. Not competitive fire, not like what might have sparked if Midoriya had been in first place, but thoughtful consideration. In truth, I was considering forming my own group, but your analysis is solid. I believe our quirks could synchronize well. That's what we were thinking. Midoriya said. Very well. I accept. Uraraka cheered. Yes. Okay, so who's our fourth? That leaves one role, Ida concluded. We require someone capable of grabbing headbands. Midoriya tapped his chin. I was thinking either Tokoyami or Azui. Both have versatile quirks that could help with stealing. Tsu's over there. Uraraka pointed. They hurried over. Azui. The frog girl turned, finger on her chin. Rib bit. Midoriya? What's up? Would you join our team? We need someone with reach and grabbing ability. Sorry, Azui interrupted gently. I already have a team. Oh. Midoriya deflated slightly. Who? Me, Shoji, and Mineta. Mineta? Right on cue, Mineta bounced in behind her, cackling. That's right. We're unstoppable. Shoji's mobility, Azui's tongue, and me. Ahahahaha, we should go, Midoriya whispered. Yes, Ida agreed instantly. They backed away and regrouped. Looks like it is Tokoyami, Midoriya muttered before heading toward him. Let's find him. They did, standing alone near the edge of the field, dark shadow hovering beside him. Tokoyami. The bird-headed boy turned. Midoriya. Want to team up? We've got speed, mobility, and zero gravity. We just need someone who can grab headbands while we move. Tokoyami paused. What is your strategy? Active point acquisition, Midoriya explained. We can't just defend. We need to keep moving, keep stealing, and stay unpredictable. What about the 10 million headband? Ida asked. On this point, Midoriya hesitated. I don't think we should go for it. Ida blinked. Why not? It's way too dangerous, Midoriya replied. Even if we steal it, we'll have to defend it the entire match. Unless we do it sometimes towards the end of the cavalry battle, but we can't guarantee we'll be successful. Better to go after everyone else and accumulate mid-tier points. Rational, Ida conceded. Then let us proceed. Todoroki gathered his team, Momo, Kaminari, and Sato. We'll go on the offensive, Todoroki stated. I'll handle the freezing. Yaoyorozu, create insulation and gear. Kaminari, provide wide-range shocks if we're surrounded. Sato, strength roll. Kaminari scratched his neck. Are we going after the 10 million? That's our only goal. Todoroki answered immediately. Upon deciding their roles and battle strategies, his gaze drifted, far across the field. To Yuta. Surrounded by students from Class 1B. 2 half-teams stood around him, one trio missing a rider, one duo missing a back support. Neither looked promising. Both groups spoke over each other, join us. We need a rear support, your speed would let us, no. No. We need a back carrier, your quick acceleration would help us pivot. Yuta rubbed his temple. Right. This is awkward. He didn't recognize any of them. Not their faces. Not their names. Probably Class 1B. Their quirks seemed functional enough, nothing terrible, nothing amazing. But here was the problem. One wanted him as the horse, the other wanted him as the rear support. I don't know their names. Their quirks aren't bad, but not exactly helping me. And they want me to be anything but the head rider? Do they not understand how top 3 placement works? There was teenage pride in it, sure, but also logic, well, maybe not really much logic. After all, his shown abilities were all based on speed. Wouldn't it be a waste to keep the fastest person on the team on top with restricted movements? Perhaps if they were people he was familiar with, he would have agreed, but none of these guys even remotely rang a bell. The desire to form teams with them wasn't even there to begin with. I need someone who, before he could decline, a faint hum cut through the noise. He looked up. A girl hovered toward him, literally. Boots glowing faintly, lifting her a few centimeters off the ground. Pink hair. Goggles on her head. Wild grin. She stopped. Right in his face. You. The two teams stepped back instinctively. Yuta blinked. Can I help you? Mei Hatsum. Support course. She thrust out her hand. And you're gonna be my partner. Partner? For the cavalry battle, duh. She leaned closer, way too close. I need someone with your speed and performance to showcase my babies. Your babies? My inventions. She pulled back and gestured grandly at the gear strapped across her body. Hover saws. Grappling hooks. Capture nets. Wire launchers. And more. Hatsum. Yuta thought with a slight ponder. Right. I've heard of you. Great. My reputation precedes me. She grinned. So. Team up with me. Me? Why me? Why not Bakugo? He's first. Because dynamite temper already filled his team, and he looks like the type who would blow up my babies instead of showcasing them. She crossed her arms. You're fast. Smart. And intentionally through first place. That means you're strategic. Or weird. I can work with either. Yuta's eye twitched. Next best thing, huh? Exactly. So what do you say? Behind them, the two 1B teams quietly retreated. Neither Yuta nor Hatsum cared as the girls started pulling out devices, one after another, explaining rapid fire. This one's a grappling anchor. This one's a shock absorber. This one, 2-person team. Minimum requirement. Maximum mobility. Her gear could compensate for missing members. And if we're not carrying extra weight. Ideas started forming. He was naturally reluctant to partner with others. However, Hatsum could solve most, if not all, of his current problems. So, what do you play? As long as my babies get screen time, I don't care what role I play. Yuta exhaled. Well, better than the available options. His available options really weren't great. People from Class 1B, Aoyama, Ojiro, Koda, yeah, no. But. He looked at the field. The teams are forming. At the 10 million point target painted on Bakugo's back. If I play this right. Alright, he said. Let's do it. Hatsum's grin threatened to split her face. Yes. Okay, first, put these on. She shoved a pair of goggles into his hands.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.